RAANTCAST! Yeah. Alright, it's Thursday night. Welcome to the RAANTCast. This is Kurgan, your host. No strange bus tonight. He had some things going on. Sends his regrets. But it is the... Hey, welcome to Bohemius. Joe Kozier, anybody else watching us live on twitch.tv/TheRantCastPodcast. Shout out to Carl Casey at White Bat Audio for the music. And of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, it's just a replay. But we appreciate your support. It's the fourth day of Christmas. I hope Santa Zargon got you everything that you so richly deserved. So we had a great game on my last day off on Tuesday. We had a really generous host allow us to use his studio to record a game. We had some totally different equipment, different cameras, different microphones. There were a couple audio issues. There's always audio issues, but I greatly enjoyed it. It was nice to get a fresh perspective, try on a different getup, play some Rogar's Hall, a little change of pace from our usual game with Mage of the Mirror and Rise of the Dread Moon. And it was pretty cool. I think initially myself and a lot of people gave Stephen Baker a hard time about Rogar's Hall. Or it looks like Roger's Hall, but it's Rogar's Hall. Rogar was one of the legendary barbarian characters that's mentioned in the original HeroQuest lore. It's like he and his companions were the ones who defeated Zargon the first time. And then hundreds of years later, Mentor, calls you because Zargon's back. Or Zargon or MORCAR, of course, or Grimdead. And you got to take him on again. But anyway, Rogar's Hall is described as a challenge for the greatest heroes. Unfortunately, it's also labeled a training quest. So a lot of people naturally think of, the Danger Room from X-Men. It's like it's not meant to kill you. It's an illusion. But I really think it's not meant for people who are brand new to tabletop gaming. It's more like people who are really experienced playing HeroQuest, who are going to play really strategically, really smart. You don't necessarily have to be fully geared up. You can use basic heroes. That's what we did. We did use some house rules, which for the most part made it a little bit easier. Some of the house rules made it harder. But yeah, we used a 3D printed board, donated, gifted by Maitreya and Theodore. They contacted me on HeroQuest Fans Discord. Just said, hey, we're starting up this 3D printing company, and we wanted to print this board for you to improve the stream. And I told him, I just said, look, I just have a little card table. I don't have room for this. You can send me anything you want. I appreciate it, but I can't promise that I'll actually use it. I'll certainly show it off. And they said, sure. So they sent it to me, and I was blown away by the quality. Yeah, the fact that I'd never seen anything that was 3D printed like that was multicolor, other than what Hero Forge did with their colored minis. And honestly, that Hero Forge mini was very underwhelming compared to this. I mean, the durability, the fact they put magnets in it, and then they 3D printed the miniatures from Cults 3D, which were basically just copies of the HeroQuest ones, the basic HeroQuest ones from 89. But yeah, it was really good. And normally I just don't have the room for it. So you're not going to see that board very much, but it was kind of cool to bring it out on a special occasion. So yeah, we were joking that, okay, this is going to ruin everybody for the stream from now on. They're not going to want to see the old one, but I'm kidding. All right, so yes, let's get rid of our pictures here. So this is episode 25 of the RAANTCast. HeroQuest still alive? ? Because we really are wondering these days. All right, so this time we just have a HeroQuest Power Hour. We don't actually have any other topics, and that's fine because I'm kind of tired. It's kind of been a long week. All right, and of course you can join us in Quest Talk in the Discord if you like, the voice channel, if you're watching us live. Alrighty. There we go. Yes, so the various topics that have come up in the world of HeroQuest, I want you to focus on something here for a second. Something you've probably seen before. Let's get our picture here. Not that. That'll be coming. Not that. This. Who is this? HeroQuest. I've seen that before. Amalgamash. Ah, yes. So Amalgamash is a machine. This man, he's machine. He is fandom. He is creation of these things. So check out these videos he's been doing. When I was on vacation, I didn't have access to my computer. And as some of you know, I'm kind of a low-tech guy, believe it or not. Don't have a smartphone. I don't really spend time on social media unless you count Discord and Twitch and YouTube. So I relied on HeroQuest and Always Bored Never Boring to basically keep me updated on what was going on in the world of HeroQuest on my vacation. So I'm not saying I watched every minute of all these videos. I definitely skip around. I can have an attention span issue sometimes when I'm on vacation. But yes, some of the news items he covered, credit where credit is due. This could not bode well. So I enjoyed this video. He was talking about the fact that, as anybody who's followed Hasbro knows, they have many different versions of Monopoly. There's actually a corporation, I don't know what you call it. I was going to call it a shell corporation, but that's the wrong term. But I don't know, a subsidiary, publisher, some type of licensee, but they create all these licensed versions of Monopoly. So Mario Kartopoly, Monopoly Cheaters Edition, every Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Power Rangers, Dungeons and Dragons, whatever you want, Opoly, they make it happen. And there's also other games out there that are, again, they're Hasbro-owned properties, like Risk or Betrayal. That's an Avalon Hill game, Betrayal at House on the Hill, and Clue. And they just license it out. And at first, I'm trying to think how long ago this was. This is decades ago. At first, it was just like a skin. It's like, oh, you're a fan of the, I'm trying to think of just some random thing. You're a fan of some sports team. So it's like that sports team, Opoly. It's just Monopoly with the team's logos all over the pieces. That's it. The rules are the same. But then they started coming out with versions of the game which were changed. So Mario Kartopoly, which I got as a white elephant gift for one Christmas, it's like, oh, it actually has different rules. And, people make mods for it and stuff. But I think a lot of those Opoly, those themed games, people don't actually buy them to play them. Because, there's hundreds of board games made every year, or at least there used to be. And not all of them are very good. Like, a lot of them are just, they just come out and they're just a flop. They're a waste of money. They don't go anywhere. Now, it's great if you like the game because then it's going to be cheap and you can easily snap it up and use it. But a lot of these people that I hear about that buy these Monopoly games, they just buy them to collect them. They don't actually ever open it up and play it and enjoy it. They just collect it. So I'm thinking, like, if they made a HeroQuest Opoly, actually some fans have already done that. So several years back, I saw on eBay somebody had HeroQuest Monopoly. And they didn't change the rules. They just put, HeroQuest graphics all over a Monopoly set and, printed it out. I think it was just the board, actually. Just the board. And it was like, okay, that's kind of cool. But it's just a novelty. It's like, if you're serious about Monopoly, you don't care about it. This was Ash's point. And if you're serious about HeroQuest, you don't care about playing it in something else like that. So, but maybe you'll collect it. It's like, whatever. But this was all prompted because they had... Yeah, I don't have a cameraman. Thank you, Bohemius. I did for the last stream, though. I had a guy that was running around. He had 2 cameras. He was doing, alternate shots. I was giving him hand signals, and he was doing stuff. He he was typing in the dice rolls for things, and I was just focused on the board. And it was really cool because I'd like to be able to do that every time because it frees me up to do more of the GM thing and not have to worry about going back and forth. But I mean, he's busy, I'm busy. I understand people can't just be jumping around. After at a certain point, it's like I really should be paying people to do this, or they should be getting something out of it other than just hanging out. So, yeah, it's just not going to be a regular thing. I'm sorry. Let me just catch up on some of these comments. Yeah, Golden Girls, HeroQuest, My Little Pony. Joe Kozer says HeroQuest needs to remain pure, no monopoly treatment needed. San Francisco Chargers, HeroQuest. Thanks, Luca Rocks. Well, yeah, so the point was on, was it Instagram? See, I don't follow Instagram or X, formerly, Twitter, but there was a post from Avalon Hill. And we know that Avalon Bill is no longer with the company. We know Ann Carmine is no longer with the company because of the layoffs. It's really sad. We're still mad about that. I'm sure they're not feeling too good either. But this post, this social media post, this open question was basically like, what properties would you like to see like mixed in with HeroQuest? Like what themed stuff? And it was like, oh, great. So they're going to have a HeroQuest set that's like a different, like, property, a different IP. It's going to be so weird. So people were saying, well, maybe a Dungeons and Dragons HeroQuest would be okay. It's like, well, I guess because they're both like high fantasy kind of things. I mean, you could say the same thing about like a Lord of the Rings HeroQuest or I don't know, maybe a Harry Potter HeroQuest. But would it really enhance the game to do that? Like, I'd like to buy HeroQuest, but I'm just a little on the fence about it. I can't identify with this barbarian and this wizard, Oh, but if it was, Harry Potter and Hermione and, Ron, then I could do it. Or, oh, if it was Gandalf and Gimli, then that would be really cool. Then I would buy it. And how much would you pay for it? The other thing about these Monopoly sets, I think for the most part, the ones that I've seen, the themed ones, they are there and gone. I think because they get snapped up by these collectors. So then you get, that FOMO, that scalper kind of limited edition mentality. Because the ones that I see are still in stores. Like if I just walk through, like, let's say Walmart and look at the game section, like, okay, there's Monopoly. There's like Giant Monopoly. There's like Kids Monopoly, whatever it's called. And then there's like Cheaters Edition. And then there'll be like one themed version, like whatever it is that year. So maybe it'll be like Nintendo, or it was like, I don't know, Worldwide Trade or something. But lots of people were telling me, oh, you need to go to some place like Ollie's. Like, Ollie's, where the heck is that? So I found an Ollie's. It was really far away, but I got to it. And I looked and nothing. No HeroQuest, because people were talking about, HeroQuest was on the store shelves at places like Ollie's and Fleet Farm. I went there too. I found a Fleet Farm. They were cool stores, don't get me wrong. It's not an endorsement, just saying. But there was no HeroQuest. And to be fair, it was just a couple days before Christmas, and their board game sections were just picked clean. I think I saw maybe there was like Farm Monopoly, and there was like a huge palette of these like Builder Edition Worldwide Travel Monopoly, and it was like, okay, clearly this is not selling. That they have this huge, and it's marked down, and people still aren't buying it. Or, what are they going to do? Buy 10 copies? So it's like, well, I already have HeroQuest, but I am pleased to see that HeroQuest is finally appearing in regular retail stores, not just, game stores, where they sell, the $250 Warhammer starter set, and then there's HeroQuest for, $134.99 right next to it. It's not like that. It's just a regular store. So I think that's a win for Avalon Hill. But yeah, they had lots of jigsaw puzzles. I noticed that I went to like Barnes & Noble is the other bookseller. Last Christmas, I noticed way more board games at all these stores. And then the day after Christmas, there was a huge markdown. So it's like 50% off, like at Barnes & Noble, for example. So I got a bunch of like cheap Warhammer stuff that I never would have bought otherwise. But the fact that it was like $25 instead of 50, it's just like, oh, sure, I can get this. I can pick this up. That's fine. But this year they scaled that way back. There was far fewer things like that, and the discounts were only like 30% off, something like that. Joe Coger says, I think each Ollie's has different stuff. Some things might be the same, but you have to find out. Lord of the Rings at mine, but Jace has or had it at his. Yeah, I get it. And I mean, it's not like I'm next to a whole bunch of these stores. Like I had to go way out of my way just to find one. So depending on where you are in the States, you may be able to pick it up. But I just heard so many good things. I thought, well, I'll check it out. But I think early on I joked about how Avalon Hill could, because it is Hasbro and this is what they do with their games, the HeroQuest would become so mainstream that eventually they start selling like modified versions of it just in the store. Now, when the game is like $140, that's kind of hard to justify. I mean, unless you're a hardcore collector. But those hardcore collectors are such a small group that I would think it would be tough, you know what I mean, to do that. But I mean, yeah, okay, so you'd have the Power Rangers HeroQuest and the Lord of the Rings HeroQuest would sell out immediately, and they'd be gone, within the calendar year, and then it'd never come back. And so it'd just be a collector thing, it'd just get scalped. It's like, oh, it's $1,000 on eBay, great. But then maybe you'd have, HeroQuest Kids Edition, where it's got like more cartoony characters in it, or I don't know, less violence or something like that. And then there'd be a, I don't know, HeroQuest Extreme Edition, where I don't know, it's just, it has different designs or something. It's extreme. You could have something like that. And then those would stick around, and those would be designed to entice people who already bought the game to buy it again, or people who were kind of on the fence, like, oh, it's cool, but I want it something new and refreshing, so then they get new version. Like, I could see that. And I think it justified in my mind saying, like, I think it's dumb. I think it's stupid. I don't want to see Disney HeroQuest. I don't want to see Marvel HeroQuest. I don't want to see Star Wars HeroQuest. But at the same time, like, if by creating those things, it keeps the brand going and brings more people in, then it's a good thing. And it's like, okay, I can put up with it. But the bigger point I've been seeing in a lot of other franchises that I like or used to like is just dilution of the franchise. Like having lots of stupid, subpar, crappy products, mediocre products, brings the whole brand down. Like people look at it and go, oh, that's crap, that's silly, that's stupid. Like they don't understand why the thing is liked or beloved because they see all this crappy stuff. Plus, you could say, they're putting, manpower, resources, money, all this stuff, shelf space into these side projects that could be instead diverted to like new quest packs that are good, or just maintaining, quality, getting HeroQuest out to more markets. Like, to me, I mean, I'm not in charge of this company, obviously. I disagree with a lot of the things that they do. I'm not a fan of Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons, but every day I read some article about how fans are pissed at some decision they made. It's like, wow, I'm kind of glad I'm not them, but at the same time, it's the same company that's allowing these divisions to just do what they want and kind of screw over fans and just kind of like squander the goodwill and waste money, basically, So if they're going to do that with HeroQuest, I mean, that doesn't make me feel good, feel happy. That makes me kind of nervous, It's like, I mean, I was a HeroQuest fan before Hasbro brought HeroQuest back. I mean, you could say like in the 2010s, I was getting back into it. And it was cool, but I wanted to support it because at the time I thought they seemed to be doing it the right way. Like they're focusing on what makes the franchise good, what the fans like, trying to stay true to that, make improvements, but make informed, like research-based decisions, not just throw anything out there. Because oh yeah, they'll just buy anything with the HeroQuest logo on it. We'll throw it out there. Those people exist. Some of them are in our community. If you are one of those people, I'm not judging you, but at the same time, like any smart company cannot rely on that attitude because that is a very small number of people. If you rely on that, your product is going to fail. Like it will. You'll lose a lot of money. So if they're smart, they won't do that. They won't think that. But as we know, just because you're a big successful company doesn't mean that the people at the top are always making the right decisions. They may make the decision that makes them a lot of money in the short run, but they may not care if they lose a whole bunch of fans and money because of some stupid decision. So I am very much with people who are saying, yeah, making HeroQuestopoly is a bad idea. Now, a good friend of a friend mentioned to me, said, well, what would be wrong with doing like a one-off? Like, we heard rumors on Cristobal's channel, LaGuardia de MORCAR, that they were going to try to combine D&D and HeroQuest, like set HeroQuest in the D&D world. It's like, please don't do that. Just they're both fine on their own. You don't have to do that. But what if they had a one-off adventure? It's a using the HeroQuest engine, but it's set in the Forgotten Realms. One quest pack or book or standalone game, and that's it. Okay, that's fine. The only problem with that is, what if it's a huge hit and they decide, oh, this is what we need to do from now on, and then they just ditch what they were doing before and just focus on that. Like, everybody that didn't care about D&D and doesn't want to play that game would kind of feel snubbed. So there's a slight risk there. But I think doing it as a one-off would be the way to do it. Now, again, if it's going to be a FOMO thing, if it's going to be a limited release, you're going to piss off a lot of people. So I'm not sure that's good either. So going back to it, yeah, so they seem to be going in that direction. Now, what kind of feedback are they asking for? We know Hasbro is associated with certain brands. Star Wars, Marvel Superheroes, G.I. Joe, Transformers, Ghostbusters, what else? Power Rangers, Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons. And then you get the unique Avalon Hill stuff, like Betrayal at the House on the Hill. So I think some of that stuff, it's pretty easy to transfer over, and some of it, it's like, it really, I don't know, it really wouldn't do much for me. I mean, if a fan did it, if a fan makes it, that's pretty impressive, because it's like, okay, the fan had no money. They just started from zero and they just made something. They made something they wanted. They made something they liked, that they wanted to play, and that's cool. But when the company does it, it's like, okay, this is a multi-billion-dollar international corporation, and this is the best they could do. This is what they spend their money on. This is what they expect us to pay top dollar for. It's like, no, I don't want it. Do what I want. So that's what I have to say about that. So I'm nervous about this sort of thing. It also could be a sign of desperation. I mean, maybe, I have no idea. Like, Chris Nato's gone, Avalon Bill's gone. I don't know who else is gone from Avalon Hill, but are they going to replace them with other people from the company? Are they going to come in from outside? What's going to happen? Was HeroQuest too ambitious at the time? Are they trying to pull things back and say, okay, well, hold on. No more new expansions. We're just going to give you, like, reskins and stuff like that. Are they going to try to make it all digital? Please don't. The companion app is fine. Like, you don't need to make it an all digital game and take away the physical game, even though that would be really cheap and they could really control it. But think of all the fan mods and homebrew that would go away if that's what it was. Because yes, the hardcore fans like us will keep on going, but a lot of people who just get into it will be like, oh, HeroQuest, yeah, that's that mobile game that kind of sucks. It's like, no, the real game is the game where you can do anything very cheaply. But that's a threat to their profit-making machine. Maybe. I personally, if I were in charge of HeroQuest, I would look at it like this. How many countries was HeroQuest sold in originally? Like, back in the day, like from 89 to 94, like, what, 16 different languages or something like that? You have all these places that are untapped. You could go to Japan, you can go to Russia, you can go to Israel, you can go to, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, you can go all these places, Quebec, and you can get people who played HeroQuest back in the day, get it in their native language, bring that goodwill back, and they're going to introduce it just like the people in the States and in the UK, Germany, Italy, France, Spain. They're going to introduce it to their kids, and their grandkids and their friends, and it grows like that. Like that's how you do it. It's like a community-based family game. It's not just this directed, marketed to kids, even though you watch that commercial, you're like, okay, 10-year-old boys is clearly their target audience. But lots of people like HeroQuest. And I think it's just that most people don't know that HeroQuest exists, or they don't know what it is. And you did have, for a few years, a few other games that were named HeroQuest that had nothing to do with this game. So they might be like, that game? No, this game. Oh yeah, the plastic miniature, the gargoyle, It's like, okay. So you get people back into it, and then you have so many people. The appeal of HeroQuest is very broad because yes, it's a fantasy tabletop game, and people sort of associate that with like nerdy people, stereotypical nerds or whatever. But it's so different than some of these other games like Warhammer, which is focused on painting and collecting and constructing large terrain and lots of dice and going to a store where you have to like be in a public place and play against a stranger. Like that's sort of the image you get when you think of Warhammer. Whereas HeroQuest is not like that. HeroQuest is a box. You take home the box, you open it up, and it's not like D&D, because D&D, you think of big stacks of books. As a GM, you got to plan out all this stuff. You got to write all these charts. You got to have all these different dice, and you got to know when to use the different dice. And there's all this like you got to think on the fly and do all this like storytelling. No, you open the box, you take out the little quest book. I mean, the manual is 23 pages. You take out the quest book, you turn it over. It's 2 pages. Well, I guess some of them, the double quest would be 4 pages, but it's 2 pages. Put the stuff on the board, and you just play, and it's easy. And you roll the dice. It's really easy to interpret. Ribby's here. RAANTCAST.
What you ranting about?
Yeah, talking about HeroQuest, talking about AshQuest, and I'm just going through
a daily staple of mine.
Yes. And the thing is, like, I give him a hard time, but he is able to crank out so much material. I wish I had the kind of free time that he seems to have. But anyway, what's your take, Ribby? Do you think that Hasbro is doing the right thing, and you would like to see Avalon Hill crank out, Golden Girls Quest and Power Rangers Quest and all these like themed, just like Monopoly?
Blanche miniature. I mean.
Yeah.
People say dreams don't come true, but they do.
Yep.
No, I don't know. I'm generally speaking, I'm totally against any kind of monopolization. Yes, for lack of a better word.
All right, just for that, cut his mic, get him off the show. No, I'm kidding.
Get him out. He's done.
RAANTCAST. No, I like it. So
I've spoken out against it in every venue possible on the Discord, on Instagram, on Twitter.
Nice.
Or X if you're stupid.
Can you believe at one time, like, you have I have a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Who am I going to listen to like, get the pulse of, the day-to-day guy in the street? I know, Twitter. Like, what?
Exactly.
What is your problem?
Pointless. You know for a fact nothing you say there is going to matter. They're looking at sales metrics,
trolling,
they're looking at
bots.
Yeah.
They're
looking at sales metrics from their like regional distributors, and I mispronounced that word, distributors, and all the the stores and stuff that they've inked deals with to sell their product. It's not going to matter what you say. and by the way, in both IG and Twitter, it was overwhelmingly keep HeroQuest as it is. I want it to be, and that's my attitude towards it too.
All right. I feel like that orc, like in the Two Towers, he's like, right, like behind him, like, okay. So, yeah. Because I was saying before you jumped on here that I feel like those Monopoly sets and Risk sets and Clue sets and whatever, the themes, those are something that like they come out for Christmas and they're all sold out like by January. And
or heavily discounted so that they sell out.
Exactly. So they appeal to collectors I mean, not everybody, but collectors who they don't even play it. They just, oh,
Yeah,
another copy of the
absolutely.
game to collect. So it's like, yeah, they're getting paid, but it's like the quality doesn't even matter. And most
Yeah.
people are not going to see it, and it's going to be FOMO. So it's like, oh shoot, I missed,
And what is it?
Golden
Just some
Girls
one for
Opoly,
one,
so I gotta
one.
buy it on eBay.
Yeah, one for one. Just okay.
Mhm.
Boardwalk is
Well,
I don't know, like
not
some other
yeah, it's
thing, whatever the
Mordor instead
Friends
of
Cafe was called or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's Seinfeld dollars instead of community chest. I don't know.
Right.
Whatever. I don't even know. See, because I don't. But I own Mario Kart Opoly. I think it's called like Nintendo Opoly Gamers Edition or something. I've never played it. See,
For shame. For shame.
see. But I've read the rules and they're different than regular Monopoly. And
But
yes, a
probably
lot of it
not
is
by
collecting.
much.
But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I mean, how much playtesting did they really do? I mean, did they think this is a game that's going to stand the test of time? This is going to be, here 50 years from now? No, it's just this is a gimmick. We'll get Nintendo fans to buy it. It'll be a great gift for your kid, and then they'll forget about it. Whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know what
So
Hasbro's play is there, because wasn't it according to their own statement or whatever? HeroQuest is pretty profitable, apparently.
yeah, it was making
So
money while Wizards of the Coast was losing money. D&D was losing
right,
money. They
and
were losing
so they're
money on these failed like HasLab campaigns. So
yeah,
I haven't seen all their balance sheets, nor can I, but it seemed like they were admitting themselves that HeroQuest was doing well.
sure. And so you take but they also had this attitude. Hasbro, I'm talking about, umbrellaed over the top of all this, had this attitude of D&D's under monetized, all this other
We're
stuff.
not
It's under
exploiting it
monetized.
enough,
We
right?
need to exploit it more. And
Right.
so you take your profitable IP that was offsetting the losses of your other
Yeah.
IPs, and you're
So
like, how can we exploit this more?
I just want to
Eh,
stare
But
them in
why
their.
gut Avalon Hill then?
I want to stare them in their stupid faces and say, "Okay, you greedy jerks, this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
HeroQuest is gone. Okay, from now on, it's just a digital subscription-based service. That's it. Okay, that's it. Now you've broken it. You've
For
ruined it.
HeroQuest?
Yeah, you've ruined it. Yeah,
Sure.
it's an app. It's got in-app purchases. It
Yeah.
takes your data, microtransactions, all that crap, and that's the only way
Call
you can
it
play it.
HeroQuest One, or what do they call
Yeah,
that? One D&D or whatever they called it.
yeah. One HeroQuest. HeroQuest
One HeroQuest
Infinity.
One or something.
Yeah,
Infinity.
yeah.
That's good.
You fire all the people. Stephen Baker, what the hell is he doing here? Get him out of here. He doesn't
Yeah,
have
right.
anything to say.
He costs too much money. Get
Too
him
much
out.
trouble. Yeah. Oh, and Carmine, of course, wrong
He
direction.
he's got an opinion. Get him out of there.
Listening to fans, wrong. All these people. So yeah, you just stick to that. So basically, at that point, you're appealing to non-fans, and you're saying to
Yeah.
fans, we don't care about you at all. We don't want your money anymore. It's no good here. So yeah,
Well, it's
that's
like
what.
who was saying it?
Uh,
I forget the name. Rosebud was saying, yeah, they just want to sell new sets to new people.
but see, they can do that already. So okay,
Yeah.
listen, you greedy jerks. Like, here's what you do: go to other countries where they remember having HeroQuest 30 years ago. Those people are grown up and have kids and grandkids in some cases.
Sure.
Hey, the thing you liked is back. Here it is. Oh my goodness! Suddenly, millions more sales. Oh, you had to make an investment. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you had to like spend money to make money. Like, like, hey,
I
that's
don't
what you
get.
do. That's what you do. You just spread the good word. I mean, what did McDonald's do? I mean, they went to like everywhere, and maybe that's not a good example because you go to another country and like McDonald's will have like a different uh, menu. But the idea was like people see that and go, yeah, that was the thing. Like, I want that. Okay, here you go. Try it out. And then eventually you decide, okay, does it need to be changed for this particular audience? Fine, whatever. I mean, HeroQuest back in the day, you had that. You had the European rules, Japanese rules, North American rules. I would rather see, and I said this, and a lot of people disagreed with me. I said I'd rather see like Games Workshop come back before I'd want to see like Simpsons, Opoly, HeroQuest, and all
Sure.
this.
It's like the one IP I think everyone's kind of amenable to. But even that almost feels at
Well,
this point like a kick in the nuts to
here's
the Avalon
yeah,
Hill people.
and here's the problem with yeah, and I feel bad for the Avalon Hill people. I mean, the ones who were let go, I'm sure they have enough experience they can find work at another company. It's probably not going to be the same, but they'll probably be okay. Even the people who are like line workers or whatever, they can be a line worker somewhere else. It sucks. It really sucks, especially before Christmas, but they'll probably be okay. At the same time, though, like the whole Hasbro shtick is like they get these projects, these FOMO projects. So all that's what HasLab is. It's like, okay, here's a game, here's a product, here's a toy that we know very few people actually want. Like there's a handful of like really rich or spendthrift people who will buy it. They'll pay any price to get it. So we'll crowdfund it and we'll release it for a limited time. Scalpers get it after that. Who cares? We got paid. Like that's that attitude. But this is the same company that also turns around and is like, oh, these are the toys of your childhood and you can pass them on to your children and it just goes forever. So they were able to kind of do both with HeroQuest. First, it's a FOMO product for collectors. Oh, and then it's a retail product for the masses. So if they keep it in the latter category, they're actually going to make a lot more money over time. Yes, they have to put in the cost for each box. And wouldn't it be nice if it was just a box of cardboard? Wouldn't it be nice if it was mostly digital? Got it. But that's what HeroQuest is. So I'd rather they just increase their market and spread it around rather than just basically kick everybody in the nuts, as you say. Now, if they get Games Workshop involved, yes, Games Workshop has been criticized a lot because they're very heavy-handed on IPs. So one person was pointing out on Yield In that, sorry, I forgot your name already, that, well, let's say Hasbro decided, HeroQuest, we just couldn't do it. Avalon Hill was costing us too much money or not making enough money or whatever. So here, Games Workshop, you can have it back. They might turn around and say, Yield In, you guys are infringing our copyright. We don't like your stuff. It's all got to come down. That would piss a lot of people off. That goodwill is suddenly gone. But would they really do that? We don't know if they would or not. Also, Games Workshop is criticized heavily for having like limited releases. And, they'll make a bunch of miniatures and stuff, and then they'll say, oh, and then the new thing comes out, and then the old stuff can't be used. But that's because they're basing themselves, similar to Magic the Gathering, on that kind of like tournament model, that competitive model, where it's like we put up the store, and you go to the store and you buy the paints from us, and you buy the figures, and then you play in our play space, and you got to be following this uniform rule set. But HeroQuest isn't like that. It's not a competitive game. I mean, it's semi-cooperative, whatever you want to call it, but you buy the game and you take it home. It's like having a bunch of starter sets. That's what it is. So it can be a stepping stone to other games, but it doesn't have to be. It can be its own thing. But I think if Hasbro can do a balancing act between, selling Reva's lightsaber or trying to on HasLab, and then putting HeroQuest on, at Fleet Farm for you to buy for your family, then I think Games Workshop can do the same thing, because Games Workshop has done this before as well. They did the collaborative 40K Risk with Hasbro several years ago now. They keep bringing Space Hulk back. That's just a regular board game. It's not meant to be an endless thing. Yeah, and so they could do both. They could say, okay, well, we know that not all of our customers want to just keep buying plastic crack, and coming to our stores all the time. Those people can have HeroQuest. Here you go. It's got real Chaos Warriors and Famirs in it, and it's got, the old world. You can do all that stuff. But it wouldn't have to be Games Workshop. It could be some other company. And then I was thinking, well, with HeroScape, when HeroScape failed, they brought in Renegade Studios and said, we'll just license it out to you. You can take the scraps that we started building and just take it. We haven't seen what they're going to do with it yet, but it sounds good at the outset. Maybe they could get Games Workshop, but then it's like, well, would Games Workshop want to do that? Maybe they wouldn't want to they would want to take a leadership role. It's like all or nothing. Maybe not. But I'm just thinking at least there would be some upside to it. It wouldn't be just, it wouldn't feel derivative. It would feel like a natural fit.
Yep.
Just taking a breath here. Yeah. So anyway, that was the first topic. Yeah. Let that sink in. Getting all Elon Musk on you. Okay, so the other video, he was talking a lot about the Wandering Monks, and this is gonna sound really harsh. I'm gonna be like, listen, Ash, I don't care about your opinion of the Wandering Monks. No, I do care. I like his opinion, but at the same time, like he was saying in his video about how like, well, I chose to play the character this way. You might choose a different way. It's not wrong. It's just different. And that's pretty much my attitude with a lot of this stuff. The Wandering Monk is different than so many other things, like the crossbow, where it's like, well, no, I played the crossbow this way for 30 years, and who are you to tell me I'm wrong? You know. But when I'm at your table, I'll play it the way that you say is the right way. You know. And when you're at my table, I'll do it. So, but the Wandering Monk is so new, people are still kind of figuring it out for themselves. But I feel like on our stream, we've played it enough that we kind of have an idea of how it works. I mean, there's a couple quirky things. It's like, okay, can he wear no armor whatsoever, or can he only not wear metal armor? I see on the Hasbro Pulse pages they erased. So they had all these mentions of metal armor everywhere. The Hasbro Pulse had it. These other websites had it, and then they erased the word metal. So now we're back to what the cards actually say, which is he refuses to use armor. Which makes you think, okay, he can't use bracers. He can't use the Scales of Elithorn. So he's stuck at 3 defense dice for the whole campaign, except for potions and spells. What do you think of that? Do you think that's good, bad, or?
I think it's good. That character has shattered the mold for what has been normal for HeroQuest for forever.
Yeah, I agree with you.
One, with all the refreshing spells. Like, no other character gets that, where basically every special ability they have, they can get it back. Nobody else can do that.
They toyed with it. They toyed with it.
It's limited. Yeah, the Bard's limited. The Warlock's limited. They can get stuff back under certain conditions, but no other character has been able to get it all back.
Yeah, little bit of devil's advocate here. So in 92, there's the potion of recall that gives you one spell back. But it does cost you a lot of gold, and you're gonna have a lot of gold by that point. But
that's the problem. It's like a one-off. It's not a continuous thing throughout the whole quest.
All right, listen.
No, that's the trade-off
stabber,
for that character.
You picked on the wrong guy on the wrong day.
All right.
Okay. Musk.com. Okay, so yeah, we don't buy views or any of this crap.
Yeah, I don't know who that guy is.
Banned.
I couldn't ban him, yeah.
Yes, you could. But you wanted me to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want that power.
You're a moderator now.
I don't want the power.
Right. Gave up the power. Okay. Well, anyway, that person's banned. Yeah. So what was I saying? Yeah, it is. It's like they tested the waters. They said, okay, well, there was this potion that let the elf get one of his spells back. Let's try out a potion that lets you get 3 spells back. Let's have a character that can refresh one of 3 spells. And now it's like, okay, here's a guy with not spells, sort of quasi spells that he can get them back every turn.
Sure.
As long as there's monsters. The monsters are the trigger. He's weak, but he can just have a flurry of offense. Right. Weird tricks every time. I mean, it's possible to kill him. You just have to stay on him. You know? And if you're playing one of these quests where it's not just like every room has 2 orcs in it, it's like, no, you've got war bears and ogres, and bring back those 10 body point ogres. Let's see how he does against those.
Right. You know? I mean, a war bear can theoretically one-shot the barbarian.
Yes. Exactly.
So, I mean, what's the monk going to do against that? Right. I mean, he could negate one of the attacks, but not the other.
Now, of course, this is HeroQuest, so they don't give you any directions on how to use the monk.
There's a little card, though. It's kind of gives you a little guidance.
I mean, the assumption is based on
the way... I'm going to pull mine out. While we're talking about this, I'm going to pull mine out.
Go for it. There's an assumption based on where the way the app does it is there's always 4 heroes, except in solo quests, and you swap one of them out. So you take away the dwarf, and now you've got the monk. Or you take away the wizard, and you got the monk. He's always got a substitute. Right? But, I mean, then you get the weird thing in Spirit Queen's Torment, where it's like, oh, the first one who dies gets a bard. You know, it's like, okay, well, you can use these heroes however you want. The monk doesn't have to be a hero. He could be a mercenary. He could be an enemy. He could be anything you want him to be. I mean, yes, they clearly probably intended him to be one of the 4. So then it's like, which one do you get rid of?
Mm-hmm.
But we've done it both ways. We've done him as one of the 4, and we've done him as a 5th. We haven't done him as an enemy, although that'd be kind of cool. A dark monk, comes in.
Dark monk.
I am your shadow. Your doppelganger.
Right. I got my element cards out here. I'm looking at these.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like the monk, and I'm of a mind similar to like with the bard, because the bard wasn't clear either. The cards give you the impression that he doesn't get a bonus until he adds bracers. Then suddenly he gets a bonus. But what they intended all along, and you can see it in the early versions of the card, which I didn't see right away because they were an exclusive on one website. I think it was Polygon. It's Polygon. I'm forgetting already, but it said like he gets it with. I'm forgetting it now, but basically it's like it made it clear that you get it right away, as long as you have no armor. But then the other one was, okay, well, as long as you don't have metal armor or shield, metal armor including helmet, then you have it. So it either happens when you add bracers or it just happens right away. But either way, I could play it. Like, I think it's fine. And we've used him, and other than me just thinking he's kind of silly to have an orc bard that looks like a pirate who's singing, like, other than that, he's a fine character. He's kind of like a battle cleric or something. That's fine. I mean, for HeroQuest, it's fine. I like the monk. I like the rogue. We've used the rogue as well. So I don't have a problem with any of those. I do agree with you that they're being more creative. And I think that's a good thing. And I think it's like everything they do in HeroQuest has a ripple effect. So if they create one thing, they know that people are going to take that and put it in another direction, use it to inspire somebody to create their own thing. I mean, take Jacer, for example. He's not an anomaly in the community. You say to him, hey, give me 3 ways that you would do this one thing, and he'll have it ready to go. It's like, well, you could do this, this, or this. Give him some popsicle sticks, he'll create something out of it. And it's like,
sure.
He's just a guy doing it part-time for fun. So you've got how many ever millions of people that you've sold this to? I mean, yes, you've got people who just want to play the game out of the box according to the rules, and that's it. And then they're done, they're fine. But the people who stick around are the ones who are not satisfied with what you give them. They're going to use that as fodder to make their new thing. Like, oh boy, new sculpts. Now I can create new rules for these creatures. Oh, new tiles, great. Here's 10 different ways I can use these tiles. Like I remember back in the day, like the Death Mist from Return of the Witch Lord. It's like, okay, well, it does one thing. It just kind of moves along, and if it runs into somebody, they lose mind points. It's like, that's kind of cool, but I mean, what about, like, it's a trap, like you land on the square and the something, it gets swarmed by this thing, or it could be a spell, you like throw it at somebody, or I mean, there's so many ways you could use it. Yeah, so it's all inspiring. So they give you the monk, you don't like it, you change it into something else. It's like, I can work with this. It's like Play-Doh in my hands, putty in my hands. Then,
I mean, there's a pretty solid roadmap though for how to play it. I think the only real the only real contention I've seen is how the activation of those abilities works.
Twisting Torrent.
Beginning of turn, or when you want to use it.
Yeah.
Like when you choose it.
I think. Use it. Yeah, I mean, I see that there's a lot of flexibility in HeroQuest. I mean, this is how we play a lot at our table. Okay, it's my turn, right? I'm the barbarian. So I roll my dice. Oh, I got a 7. Okay, I'm going to drink this potion here. I think I'm going to drink this other potion as well. Okay. And I'm going to search for treasure. Okay, and then I'm going to move the 7 squares. You know what? I'm going to move 5 of those 7 squares. I'm going to drink another potion here. Okay, got that. All right, I'm going to ready this weapon for the next turn. All right, good. That's like my turn. It's like, wait a minute, how many actions did I take there? Just one, and I only did one movement. But it's like you can still do that.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and I realize with the monk, you could say, well, maybe activate means get it ready for the next turn, because there are spells that are like that. You can use rock skin, and it doesn't get used until the next time you have to defend, and it doesn't go away until you get damaged. So it could last you the whole quest. Courage.
Yeah.
You could keep it going for a really long time if you ignore what Avalon Bill said.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Then it's like, okay, so you could take the monk as saying, okay, well, I activate this, but I'm not actually using it now. It's going to kick in on the next turn, maybe. But it does say one. Doesn't it say one, activate one per turn? Look at my card too.
Yeah, it says at the beginning, activate one of the.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you could choose to ignore that and just say, meh, he could just use as much as you want. But that's when you run into the possibility of he's going to be OP. Sort of, because you use them all up. Like, so you use 4 techniques, and now you're spent until all the monsters are gone. So you run away, then you come back, and then you spend them all again. And you run away and come back, spend them all again. Sure, why not? That's how you want to play them. But the only one that I really see as a point of controversy is, I mean, everybody's working towards the fire, right? Everybody wants to use the fire. Is the Twisting Torrent, the one that negates damage.
Yep.
But see, this is an area, and I've said it before, where there's some people who are not going to budge on this, and they're just going to be like, listen, there should be real stakes in this game. I want the heroes to die, and I want them to stay dead. Fair enough. You're an evil wizard. I can relate to that. But it's like, when Zargon kills one of the heroes, it's like, oh, he's got a healing spell left. He could keep on playing. Nah, he doesn't get to do that. I mean, I take a more generous reading of the rules to say that the death save is a special exception to the normal rule, which says if you're at 0 body points, you're dead, you're out of the game. Doesn't matter if it's not your turn. If you have a spell, you haven't used an action, because you can't use an action on Zargon's turn anyway, you can use it, and you can come back. So by the same token, even though it says use 1 technique on your turn, it's not your turn, it's Zargon's turn. He just killed the monk. He just killed him. You can use Twisting Torrent. You can just use it, because it says when you take damage, you can turn it into nothing. It gets used up. I don't see a problem with that. Can you see a flaw in what I'm saying? Go for it.
No, and that's exactly how I would play it too, as like the special exception sort of case. And I mean, most of your actions and what you're doing in HeroQuest, most of it, the standard way you would play, is you'd activate something as you used it. I'm casting Fire of Wrath, the classic. I use it. That's one of my actions or whatever. I don't have to choose that at the start of my turn or anything
you
like
have
that.
to prepare the materials. You had to meditate to build up enough mana to be able to cast the spell.
But I didn't have to choose that before I knew where I was going to end up after a movement roll or something like that. I can just use it when I need to use it. Yeah. And so that's how we've been playing the monk on Saturdays, and that's how I would play it on my table. Nobody's played a monk yet, but
and I think it's more fun. I think you read the room. If you're with a group that is just like, listen, I want you to take the gloves off. I want this to be a struggle, a death struggle from like beginning to end. I want you to punish me. You must punish me. Like, okay, fine, we'll do it that way. But a little kid, oh, go easy on me. It's my first game. Oh no. Like, okay, fine. Now listen, you gotta be tough, son. It's like, okay, so here's an example of how I would rule on things. You're the dwarf. You're walking along, minding your own business. You think everything's fine. Oh my gosh, you just fell in a pit trap. This ends your turn. But Zargon, I've got this potion of airwalk. Sorry. No, I'd say, oh, okay, well, maybe as you started to fall, you used it and you floated over the trap. It's used up now. But I mean, it's like, you could give them an opportunity to use it. These potions are rare, or they spend a lot of gold on it.
And typically I do, and I do just for the sake of burning them up. because especially later game, our group is what 3 or 4 quest books in, and they've got such an arsenal of spells or
You're talking about
of
your game
potions.
style.
Yes,
Nice.
I can't kill them. They've got so many healing spells. I guess so. I'm really. I mean, I'm doing something outside of the game, which is my evil wizard deck, which I
Yeah.
really crank up to like the nth degree, which I can adjust the difficulty of it
Mm-hmm.
based on the quest I see and what the monsters are and what the heroes are and how many potions they have. You know, I'll crank up the difficulty of the wizard deck. And this last game, I actually killed 2 of them multiple
Nice.
times,
Nice.
but they still had enough potions to pull through and
Well,
spells.
isn't it satisfying though? See, this is why digital Zargon will
But
never replace
they're
Zargon.
feeling that tension though. They were
You're
feeling that
you're still alive, Mr. Barbarian, but guess what? I reduced you to 0 body points 5 times in this quest. Think
right,
about
and
that.
your potions are gone. Now what are you gonna do?
Potions are gone.
Now you're reliant on that wizard being in the room with you to
And
hit you
yet,
with the heal spell.
it puts value to it. It's like I'm the barbarian. I'm like, man, sure glad I had all those healing spells. They really came in
Yes,
handy. As
right.
opposed to,
Those weren't a waste.
I'm invincible. I never
Because
need these.
if you just go easy, especially rules as written, is fairly easy overall.
Well, especially the game system. I mean, the
Yes.
later quest
Um,
packs, not so much. I think I would say a
well,
few of the
with
boss. Few of the,
exception, like
go ahead.
Frozen Horror and stuff are really tough,
Yeah.
but some of them are not that tough. Like we're in Prophecy of Tolor, it's not that tough so far.
Oh, you had to ruin it for me. Just kidding. Okay,
Sorry,
well
I'm sorry.
we'll beef it up. Well, when I started, I do a lot of experimentation. So when we started Frozen Horror, basic heroes. That was against all my
Yep.
instincts because I was thinking, man, this
Oh
is
man,
we should have
that's rough.
we should start with everything. But I didn't want to wait 3 months until we got to it. So I just started them off. And it was like, okay, after the 3rd or 4th barbarian death, okay, it's like, okay, he needs some companions, fine. But that's it. That's it. And when we
Yeah.
started Rise of the Dread Moon, even though Inspector Retro, telling me, no, this is the way. You got to do Mage of the Mirror first. Sorry, new party. And I'm just like, it's working. It's
Yeah.
fine. And especially,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't look that far ahead with Rise of the Dread Moon, so I mean, I know how it ends, but like the whole stealth mission thing, I wasn't expecting how that would go. It's like,
It was
oh,
different.
we're
Yeah,
not
that was way
fighting.
different.
Very different, yeah. It's like, oh, wait a minute, we can't buy
We
stuff for a
stab
while.
with short
Yeah,
swords. What?
yeah.
Okay, I
So
guess.
it kind of resets, and so when we did the Rogar's Hall thing, it was like, no, I'll just let's just see how it goes with just basic equipment.
Yeah.
We did use some house rules, but I was thinking it kind of balanced itself out. Like the bonuses that you guys got were offset by the extra challenges that you got,
Yeah,
for the most
and you
part.
were regulating some of that too, because people are like
Well,
buying things that you weren't allowing.
yeah, and I kind of feel bad about that. Like I should have ahead of time just turned that stuff off. But I knew that I had so the guy who was hosting, like he had a copy of the combat cards. I could have like run upstairs, dug into his box and got those. But I'm like, nah, we've already started, and that's going to throw everything off. So I just thought, nah, we'll just save it for the next. So they will get used. But yeah, no combat cards. And yet we still had plenty of chances. So, I mean, I took that treasure deck and I took all the extra cards out except for Holy Water and Potion Speed. I wanted to leave those in, but there weren't any extra gold cards. There weren't any extra potions or poison or anything like that. And when people drew a bonus potion, I just grabbed one of the potions out of there. So like that's the one you got. That's why you kept getting like defense and heroic brew and stuff. And it just but it kept you going. It was always something good. It's like, oh, magic resistance. Oh,
And
we're
we
not gonna
used
get
them,
to use that for a while. Yeah.
and that's the goal. That's the goal, is to put enough pressure on the players that they're using stuff about the same amount as they're gaining it.
Hmm.
And occasionally that can fluctuate a little. Sometimes they'll save a little. Sometimes they'll
Yeah.
burn a little more. And that's the goal
But
as a
there's a
Zargon.
payoff. There's a payoff.
Yes. What you don't want is that every player, especially this happens at my table a lot, and I have to adjust for this, is like the wizard and the elf who have the spells. We have the classic heroes.
Hmm.
in our group. They're like, no, we're gonna save that for later,
Like
and they save
conservatively.
save it until the end of the game, and then it's over.
I love the fact that we have so many aggressive Magic users in our games. It's like
Yeah.
boom. It's like, and I'm trying to think now, who was it that came back? One of our players who likes to play as the wizard. Unfortunately, there's quite a few, and they're like, wait a minute, where's all my magic? Like who used it all up last time? It's like you were
Yeah.
not there.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, oh hey,
That's
I'm the alchemist. How can I help you guys? Can I like throw some fire at him or
that's
yes,
what I try to make them
throw some
do in our
fire.
game. I'm like, no, you can't save anything.
We know
You're in
that
a
there's
situation you got to use this now,
you
or you're
guys
gonna
do all the
die.
fighting. You guys do all the fighting, and at the end, the big guy, I'll just unleash on him and win.
Yeah.
But how do
Maybe
you
you have
know?
genie left at the end. Maybe I don't know,
Right.
but
Well, and I
yeah,
like
it's always that balancing act.
the things that people say about the wizard. They always say, well, he doesn't have enough armor. Well, they gave him more armor. Oh, he doesn't have enough magic. Well, they gave him more magic. So it's like, yeah,
Do you allow bracers on the wizard?
yeah, yeah, I do.
So do I. So my wizard has wizard's cloak and bracers.
I mean,
He's got 4. That's pretty good
but
for
see,
defense.
and I have a leveling system, and I know people say, well, HeroQuest doesn't need a leveling system because it's gold, but at a certain point it maxes out and it never changes. So I was conscious of that because I thought my goal is to take a group of heroes through all the official quests. Like, and I realize we've got 2 parties now, so it's maybe not going to be exactly like that, but you're going to have like 50 potions, and you're going to have, okay, I maxed out my equipment like 3 expansions ago. Because a lot of those new artifacts, they get used once or they, 3 times and they're done.
Yeah.
So you're not going to carry them. So it's like, okay, so I introduced a leveling system and I basically made the heroes like way stronger. But I thought, I don't know, I feel kind of like, okay, I'm spending so much time as Zargon trying to kill the heroes, and I'm also trying to make the heroes powerful so they're hard to kill, or they get a lot of extra chances.
Sure.
So I thought, okay, the wizard gets more magic. He gets even more magic. You can get bonus potions between quests. Like, oh, he's got 2 more potions. Maybe they're good, maybe they're not, but he's got them. Oh, he can go to the alchemist bench and get another potion instead of a regular treasure. A little safer. Oh, he can restore one of his spells at the sorcerer's table if there's no note. Boom. And I'll do other stuff like say, okay, the weapons rack doesn't have a note. You can draw an equipment card. It's pretty good. Now, it might be something that you don't need. You don't have to wait till the end of the quest to sell it. But at least you feel like you're getting something rather than, it's just this, oh, you got 15 gold coins. Okay. Oh, a hazard.
Yeah.
So not everyone's going to
more
want to.
gems. Well, yeah,
Not everyone's
whatever.
going to want to play the way that I do. I get it, but I try to keep it interesting. And I think if they're going to release expansions, like they don't need to release 4 expansions every year, forever and ever, so that someone comes to HeroQuest, 10 years from now and is like, whoa,
Overwhelmed.
there's 36 expansions. I'm gonna have to spend, $1,500 to get them all. Oh,
Sure, and that's
no.
the example I always
Not
come
complete.
back to for that is Descent, second edition.
Oh,
It's exactly that way with Descent.
really?
You got the base game, which is out of print, so you're spending at least $100 on eBay just to get that. Oh, you want the lieutenant packs because the bosses are called lieutenants in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you want the lieutenant miniatures? Oh, those are $30 a piece on eBay.
Drugs.
Oh, you wanted the expansion? Those are $100 a piece. Oh, there's how many expansions? Oh, there's 20 expansions. Oh, the whole game's gonna cost you like $4,000 to get.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
You scare
And
people
that's
away. You scare people away.
yeah, it's overwhelming. And I
Make your
look at it
game
and
unplayable.
I go, no, never
Who
mind.
was it? Was it Sikashem on the Discord where he was saying like, oh, my partner wanted to play Ultra Quest with all 8 expansions at once, and like it was a terrible idea.
It was an Ultra Quest. Oh, man.
I'm probably butchering that story, but anyway, it was something like that where it was like, no.
Was it Talisman?
Oh no, not yeah. You're right. It was Talisman. I don't know why I thought it said Ultra Quest. See, I don't play any of those games. I wouldn't. I don't know them from a hole in the ground. So, but yeah,
I've read the Ultra Quest rule book, but
Ultra Quest is a totally different game. Yeah, Talisman is the one where everybody wants it because of the miniatures. All HeroQuest fans want Talisman because of the miniatures. But whenever I ask people, what's the gameplay like? They just say, oh, yeah, it's just a bunch of random stuff. Like, oh, really?
It's like, oh, okay, what does that mean?
So it's this ancient and venerable game, but see, there can be fun in that. Like People like to play poker, even if you're not playing for money. It's just the excitement of just anything can happen. Oh no, like oh I lost terribly.
Yeah, sure.
It's the uncertainty. So that can still be fun. Maybe you just don't want to think about it. You've had a couple and you just want to sit down and just watch cards get flipped over and dice get rolled. That's okay. I like a little bit of thinking with my game, but I'm that sort of impatient kind of player where I just want to get into it. So yeah, if I get the impression, true or false, that I need to buy all these expansions or the game is not complete, I'm probably not even going to get into it. I'm going to wait until Christmas when Santa buys it all for me. I think that's how my family was with HeroQuest. We had the game system, Keller's Keep, Return of the Witch Lord. I think we got them all at once. But that's kind of one of those situations where it's like, well, you want this. Well, here's more of the thing that you want. And who knows if this is one of those games that's never going to come back, so let's just get it all now. There's that kind of thought. And, it's only $15 more. Let's just do that. But yeah, if there's 14 expansions and half of them aren't there.
Oh, and here's the thing, too, with Descent. Another little curveball through you. Some of the expansions are only digital. They're only in the app.
Oh man,
they have the Road to Legend app, where you can buy additional quests. That's a whole nother thing, right? Don't tell Hasbro. Don't let Hasbro hear you say that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At least the digital quests for HeroQuest are free.
Yes.
So don't listen to the idiots who are trying to sell you an exclusive, rare, ultra rare collectible that they got at Gen Con, held in the hands of Craig Von Ness himself. It's just a thing that they printed off the internet, which they want you to print off the internet and play.
Yeah.
And yes, you can get it in the companion app, which is free, no ads. See, yes, they're collecting your data, but other than that, it's free. It's advertising for the game. So yeah, there's a right way to do it. Haviland Hill has done it the least invasive, the least painful, the least in-your-face, greedy way that you could do this sort of thing. Maybe that's why they're changing the leadership. Maybe they want to go down a crappier road with it.
That very well could be.
Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they thought, man, you guys are so slow. What are you doing? Take some more risks. There's so many ideas you're not using. Let's get in there and get some work done. But somehow I feel like that's probably not what's going to happen. So it makes me nervous. They're probably going to take the easy way out. They're going to take the short-term commercial possibility and not think about the long-term repercussions on the reputation of the community.
I think so too. I think it's going to be that the short-term shareholder
business is
centric.
Booming. And then after they overload it with crap and it fails, they go, those toxic fans, they just don't know what they want.
Just suck.
We tried. They just don't know quality when they see it. So I guess we're just going to dump this brand, which is clearly not a good brand, and we'll do something else. And it's you morons. They haven't done that yet, but they very well.
I'm going to step it out to the larger topic, which I see getting brought up a lot surrounding this whole Hasbro situation, which is this is something that annoys me, and I don't know why. Well, kind of I do know why, but when I see people this is very almost kind of political, but when I see people poo-pooing capitalism in general, I get really annoyed by it.
Capitalism.
It's oh, it sucks. Oh yeah, I'm well, capitalism's the reason why these companies even exist to begin with. I don't know if it's capitalism necessarily that's the problem. It's sort of that corporate structure that's in America currently.
Yeah. Capitalism is what? That you're just owning the means of production as opposed.
You're owning the means of production, and you're trading with who you want to trade with.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
no
doesn't say anything about whether you're doing what you're doing is ethical or unethical. It doesn't say what's moral or immoral. It doesn't say anything. You're making a good product or a bad product. You could have a capitalist corporation in a dictatorship, or you could have it in a democracy, or anything in between.
Sure. Yeah. The main point just being, it's that really it's that corporate form of business that is currently infested America, unfortunately, where it's all about the stock price. It seems like,
Short-term
it's like,
gains.
oh, everything's doing great, but we didn't grow as much as we expected to grow.
So
We're
let's
still
fire
selling
some
billions of
people,
dollars of product,
save money.
but we didn't grow at 14%. We only grew at 12%.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now the stock's going to crash and we got to lay off half our employees.
Yeah, I don't
What? Why? I
understand
don't understand that.
yeah, you're making record
It blows.
profits and you still had to do all this stuff.
Yeah, it just blows my mind, and
It
so
seems counterintuitive to
it
it
does.
seems like
It does.
arcane weirdness. So I want to acknowledge some of the great talk here, Ribby. So I'm going to acknowledge some of
Hmm.
these comments here because Bohemius has been saying a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's good, especially if we agree to have torrent used in the same turn of another skill, making fire available in 3 turns to 4. Talking about the monk, Darth Monk. Yeah, I think I agree with Ash and many other people who have said that there's many different ways to interpret him. I think just think about it a little bit beforehand and then do it. I don't think it needs quite as much thinking as like Rise of the Dread Moon. I think Rise of the Dread Moon throws a lot of curveballs at you, and Zargon should do a little bit of preparation before that quest. All the other packs, I think you can pretty much just pick it up, read it for a second, and go. But that one it deserves a little bit extra because there are some unclear things, and you want to. They did that on purpose so that you would make choices and decide how you want it to work. They don't over-explain how the disguises work because they want you to come up with something. They don't over-explain the monk because they want you to come up with something. So Bohemia says, this is the reason why I want hardcore packs and frozen horror power for expert and overgeared groups. Well, I very much disagree with what I think you're saying, Bohemius, because I feel like if Frozen Horror and Mage of the Mirror didn't have the nostalgia behind them, or this is the one that got away, belief that people had, it would be a dismal failure because people would play it and go, this sucks, this is broken, this is not fun. And yes, I can fix it, but that's not why I bought HeroQuest. Like, I don't want to spend a lot of time fixing your unplay tested crap. I want to just like have a good time. But instead, it's just like, oh yeah, Frozen Horror, we've been wanting that for 30 years. We never got it. We've got it now. It's a little broken. Let's just work on it. The miniatures are cool. Dice is cool. I think though that what a point he's getting at, which is what I was saying, and a lot of people have said, is scalable difficulty. I know you're going to say, gee, you're going to overcomplicate HeroQuest. It doesn't have to be that way. It could just be a single line. We already have examples of it in Rise of the Dread Moon. Ribby, I trust you've seen it as well, because you were showing me this stuff like before I had it in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got the disguise, you get a wandering monster, it's this monster. You don't have a disguise, it's this other monster. You use the reputation token, X happens. You don't use the reputation token, Y happens. Simple. By the same token, you could just say, if you completed some other quest before this one, you get this. If you haven't, you get this other thing. There's 2 orcs in the room if it's a brand new hero. It's 4 orcs if it's an experienced hero. Something simple, something easy, doesn't overwhelm it. The quest book doesn't have to be twice as long, but you can adjust it for the experience level of the players or the amount of equipment they have, because the game gets easier the more equipment the hero has. So every time he completes a quest, he's going to have possibly a few potions left over, enough gold to buy a new weapon or a new piece of armor. His survivability goes up, his ability to kill monsters goes up, all those things. So yeah, he's ready to face new challenges. Not every quest is like linear difficulty going up, but yeah, some of these, like Frozen Horror, right off the bat starts out as total party kill, 80% of the time. Other comments. Let's see. So I agree with you. The scalable difficulty. I think they can use more of that. Advanced versions of monsters. A lot of ways that could be interpreted, Ribby. I agree. I'll ask you to unpack that in a minute, but let me get through Bohemius' statements. Abreast, a system to scale the contest, at least put up a notch every campaign. Or a simple Notch every campaign. Oh, well, I think if you do linear difficulty like that, like you're going to have to inform the public somehow, or you ought to. Like to say, oh yeah, this quest pack is for advanced players. This other quest pack is more of like a mid, or this is an easier one for beginners. Something like that. Like you don't have to overdo it, but I think, well, like this takes place early in their career, or this is like later for veteran heroes. Just something to kind of give people a clue, because there's a vast difference between Keller's Keep and the Frozen Horror. And I think if people are just shocked at how boring it is because it's too easy, or how frustrating it is because it's too hard, that can affect it. It's like, okay, I don't know if I want to buy these expansions. They're too, unpredictable. Because not everybody's going to want to go through and modify it, even though they should. I think one of the new expansion is going to be mini bosses with special modifiers for the henchmen. Could be. Modifying overall every quest with different levels of challenge. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of having a villains pack. And I mean, you could just throw those out, just like you're doing the heroes. Just say, yeah. Because if you give people like a villains pack, let's just think about it. What would you do with them? Like, would you just replace the bosses that are already in the game with these new bosses, or would you just kind of like create quests around them? I don't know. Let me go back to you, Ribby. So, your comment there about advanced versions of monsters. What do you think? What would be a good way for them to do that?
Well, I'm thinking in terms of exactly how they were doing it in the app. There's your standard regular old monsters, and then you've got advanced versions of the monsters. And you leave it to the Zargon, again, as usual, to determine when to roll those into your game, if ever. So, okay, all of a sudden my goblins can all run, hit, run. All my skeletons can attack diagonally. And that's part of the base game, and I've got that card
you can flip
in front of me when I roll that version of the monster into a quest. That's what's available, so that the players can see it. That would be, in my opinion, a simple, great way to add some variety to the game.
Nice.
Hey, this monster has the ability to slip past a doorway, or something. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But something, some variability. That would be a nice expansion that they could do.
Nice.
That would be relatively simple.
Yeah. And as we know, it doesn't require anything. You don't need a special tile or a special miniature or a quest book to tell you that monster can do that. But
you don't even really need physical cards, but to have them there on the table, it's nice, and to have it official is nice. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of people are. It's kind of like the painting thing. Like, why do you have painting guides and like beginner paint set? Because you're trying to like ease people into it who might not otherwise be ready to do it. Because the people that are hardcore are just going to do it anyway. So you're kind of like giving people permission to modify it. Like, say, yeah, here's some perks you can give your monsters. I wonder what other perks I could give them, So yeah,
make up whatever you want, and make that clear in that little mini expansion.
Easy. Oh well, if they're getting bored, okay, fine. One of the monsters sounds the alarm. Bring in the elite troops. Oh shoot!
Yeah, a whole group comes in behind you. Now you've got them on both sides.
Oh no!
Great. Those are great little moments you can add in there.
Yeah, all the monsters in the room start mutating. Now they all tear their shirts and
they're all Space Marines. Oh shit!
No.
They got guns.
Yeah, so you can just do those sorts of things. You can invent a storyline excuse, like the old they sound the alarm.
Sure.
The magical thing comes in. The dread moon has risen. Oh no!
Well, and that's what I mean. Like in those advanced monster pack, or whatever you want to call it, of cards, whatever. You make that clear to the Zargon player.
There are some examples of things you can do.
Yeah, throw some examples in here. Here's how you can spice it up for your players and add a little difficulty and a little variety.
Yeah, one of the goblins is the Goblin Skirmisher. Oh no! Yeah, and when he gets close to the other goblins, he influences them to become stronger. Yeah,
that is straight out of HeroQuest. HeroQuest does that kind of naturally. Yeah.
Yep. He gives them a sip of his grog, and they go crazy. Yeah. Grog. Okay, shout out to Bohemians there. All right, screw my friends. Over them. Yes, that's what I meant to say. That's right the first time. HeroQuest is still lacking scalable difficulty as well. We done Monolith to, if ever, provide guidance, especially when it comes to 5 to 6 players. Yeah, I keep forgetting that you've got that game.
Mm-hmm.
So you just need to tell your mom we're having stovetop stuffing.
Right.
Inviting the guys over. We're gonna play some more quests.
Ma, the meatloaf.
Good old
We
man.
want it now. We're playing HeroQuest.
Okay. Take out the trash. Back to Descent. Has difficulty scaled into extent. See, I've never played Descent. I haven't played Talisman. I'm not going to play HeroQuest unless it,
Yeah.
invite me
Yeah.
over.
So in that there's it's right on the cards too.
Mhm.
Based on the number of heroes that you're playing with,
Nice.
the different groups will spawn at different
See,
numbers.
I
It's
mean,
built right in there.
video
I
games,
really love that.
classic video games that I love did that. Like, oh, you're playing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You're fighting Shredder. Oh no, he splits into 2. Well, I got
Sure.
2
Yeah.
turtles. He splits into 3. I got
Damn it!
3 turtles. He splits into 4. Dang it!
Knocked his helmet off. That's not the
No,
real
no, no,
one.
you didn't do it right. Oh, let's start
Oh,
over.
and as a little side note, did you play the Turtles game that just came out on Steam recently?
No, is this the Mutant Nightmare one? Or
Shredder's Revenge.
Shredder's Revenge?
Shredder's Revenge.
No, but
It's incredible.
I heard good things about it.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, a little tangent there.
Oh, okay,
But
yeah.
and like in Descent, the bosses, their health and stuff is based on number of players. So again,
Right.
a little bit of scalability. They
Yeah.
put a little bit of thought into
Well,
that, and
it,
seeing that in some of these other games would be nice.
and I feel like it shouldn't be too artificial in the sense that like, oh man, we're losing. Come on, get into the game so that we can win. Like that's the attitude. But then it's like, oh, the difficulty increased exactly the same amount, so we're still in the same place as we were before. Like
Yeah.
maybe that works when you're just having kids like put quarters into your machine, but I think there should be some benefit. Because yes, there is. In a solo quest, monsters can surround you.
Yeah.
In a group quest, you've got turns, so I can cast a spell on you, then you can do something, and then the next guy can get in to block the other guy so he doesn't get hit, so he can get a free hit in. There's like benefit. I'll pass you the potion. You give me the idol, I'll give you the whip. It's like you do all that stuff. Whereas when you're by yourself, so there's benefits to it, but there's also yes, you can. Okay, well, like I know some GMs. I know a guy. He can easily just, read the room. Okay, they need it harder. So he just make something up off the top of his head. Boom, it's in there. Oh, they're really struggling. Boom, off the top of his head, something else. Like it's fine. Like there's a way to do that and just do it in such a nonchalant, confident way that it looks like you planned it all along. Whereas I'm more the type where it's like I'm gonna write it down first and hold myself to that. And yes, when I do the monster upgrade, I'm going to say, I'm going to roll the die. If it lands on this, it gets this upgrade. But if it doesn't, it's just normal. So I might benefit from it because it's like I'm in control. I could just kill everybody. But I'm not going to. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a challenge. I'm going to give them a challenge. Some of it's just getting through the challenge that the writers wrote for you. But yeah. Yeah, there's so many ways to do it, and it's fun. I really like that. I don't think GMs are ever going to go away, but I think, unlike D&D, HeroQuest does not put a lot of burden on the GM, for the most part.
Yeah, which I enjoy.
Except for, Frozen Horror. I think your burden is to kind of like pull the punches or edit it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it's very one-sided for you.
My group is getting to the point where they're pushing towards, hey, let's just play full-blown D&D, and I'm like, I don't want to DM it.
Yeah.
I don't want to deal with all that.
How much work it's going to be and how much longer it's going to be. It's like, oh,
it's like great. Yeah, you guys are going to enjoy playing. By the way, I spent 10 hours prepping the campaign over the last 2 weeks.
I hope you appreciate it.
Yeah, right.
Just blew past
I just don't want that. Yeah.
Well, unless you have like a rotating GM, like You know,
That's true.
you
Yeah.
could do something like that. But see, I haven't played a lot of those types of games. I've just played my role playing experience is very limited. The few
I haven't
times I've
played
done it,
D&D in 20 years.
I've enjoyed it, but
Easily.
I've never GM'd it. I've always been just a character,
Yeah, same.
player character. So, yeah. But I mean, I see all those books, and so a really good friend of mine for Christmas, he gave me a box of D&D books. And no, he wasn't getting rid of his books so he could play one D&D. These were brand new books, fifth edition. Oh, that's the other
Oh,
thing I heard.
nice.
I heard that the people who invented fifth edition, like they were let go. Did you hear that?
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much everybody that
Ouch.
was responsible for all that was gone.
Dang. It's like, I mean,
But as I understand it too,
you
I
have
don't know if
served your
this is true or
purpose.
not. Yeah, right. We
Now
got
you.
what you want. We wanted out of you. We got the the books they're selling. No,
Yeah.
I think it was. I keep reading this. I don't know if this is true or not. But in May of 2024, supposedly the next version is dropping. Now I don't know if that's sixth edition or some kind of addition onto fifth edition. But that's the rumor, and maybe somebody in the
Well,
comments could
now
confirm or deny.
I have a complete set of fifth edition, and I've never GM'd it. And it looks like he basically just handed me a week's worth of homework right there. Like,
Yeah,
okay, so I
it's
got
a
the
lot.
player's guide, I got the monster manual, I got the GM manual, I got the terrain or whatever. And it's like I already have a set of dice, which I was using for other things. But it's like, okay, so now I've got it all, and it's like this looks like a lot of work. But he's like, I know what you do. You can just use it for ideas. Doesn't bother me. You don't have to become, me, because he plays a lot of D&D. But he wanted me to at least see what it's like, and maybe I just flip through those books and say, I like that plesiosaur. I think I'm going to throw a plesiosaur into my next quest, or something like that.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
complaining are we? Well, now there's a plesiosaur. I've been known to put a mimic or two into a quest.
Oh wait, no, it's a Tarrasque. You're dead.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a giant, horrible horned monster that like fears everything near it and is impossible to kill. To put it shortly, it's a horrible monster. I'll link it. I'll link it to you. It's pretty
Sure.
hilarious.
Okay. Well, I guess you can use an invincible monster as a plot device. But,
Yeah, that's what it is essentially.
against the ogre horde, plenty of spears and crossbows for orcs. I agree. Oh, just some orcs. Yeah, but these orcs have different equipment that you haven't seen before. Upgrades. HeroQuest needs, this is Wordicon, needs a few round-based adventures. Well, there's all that talk about the arena in Against the Ogre Horde, and then Avalon Bill's gone, so he can't explain to us what he meant by that. Okay, but anyway, yeah, there's some arena of some kind. Round-based adventures, like the dungeon is filling with water and you have X amount of rounds to escape before drowning, but you also have a goal to achieve along the way. See, that makes me think of, and that's cool, by the way, that makes me think of Dragon Strike, which I've never played, but I've read about, where it's like you've got this counter. As you're doing your adventure, you got this counter, and it's like each round, it's going down to the next, it's ticking down. What happens at the end? Darkfire shows up. So the dragon shows up and just starts like attacking everybody. So if you wanted to fight the dragon really bad, you could just be like messing around, milling around. Come on, we're ready for you. Bring it on. Or you're like, oh man, we got to hurry up and do the task before he gets kills us. Because they did that again, old school video games. It's like, okay, you got to pop all the bubbles. Well, you're taking too long to pop all the bubbles. Well, here comes Pumpkinhead Man to eat you. Like, this is your last chance. You're playing Bomberman. Well, you haven't killed everybody yet. It's gonna start filling up with blocks, and you're gonna get crushed unless you get that final kill. So yeah, there could be a sense of urgency, and you build that into the turn-based environment because it's like, oh, you
Yeah.
got all the time in the world to do your turn, or do you?
I don't know. It's up to
Yeah,
the DM, right?
yeah. Is going to be the last edition of D&D Forever. Yeah.
I feel like I've heard that. I feel like I hear that all the time.
Windows
It's like,
10 will be the last Windows.
dude, I was just about to say that. I was about
Star
to say
Wars,
Windows 10 is the last
the
one.
Return of the Jedi, the circle is complete. Okay, now
Yeah,
that
we don't
the
need
episode
any more.
3, we have the story is complete. The tragedy of Darth Vader is over. Oh, the Skywalker saga is now come to a close.
Oh, just kidding. Luke
Yeah.
Skywalker is a horrible old pathetic
Coot.
hobo sucking on alien titty milk and is a loser.
Yep.
What? I'm sorry, what?
That
Where
sounds
did we
great.
end up?
That's exactly what I wanted this whole time. Well, see, but the thing is, if they have any goodwill left, Disney could make another movie or give it to someone who knows how to make a movie where
Oh, Christ.
all of a sudden Luke's a good guy again and it makes up for
First off, Disney's never giving that up.
No.
That IP will die with Disney.
They will let us down. They will mess around. They will hurt us. They will give us up, and we will give them up. Yes. They're no strangers to greed. They've broken the rules, and they've broken me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So let's see. The way I understand it, this is Joe Kosher. The new edition will be bare bones. Any character upgrades for the cool magic gear will be DLC. Bohemia says everything is going digital 100%. They need consistency in the rule for a while. Well, the digital thing makes a little more sense to me. Not that I... See, the thing is, I like board games because they're different than video games. Yeah. I think when you're going digital, you're just putting it back to video games. Like, do I want to sit down and play digital Monopoly, or do I want to play Monopoly? Well, I want to play Monopoly.
Right.
Digital Monopoly is for when, like, I'm stuck on a car trip and I can't play Monopoly. So it's like, okay, well,
yeah, I'm on a flight.
Almost as good.
I'm offline. Yeah. I'm on a flight. I'm going somewhere. I'm gonna play some Monopoly on my phone.
Yeah.
No, I want tactile. I want tokens.
It's like
I want dice. I want to chuck dice.
Like, do I want mint chocolate chip ice cream or do I want mint chocolate chip ice cream flavored gum? Like, the mint chocolate chip ice cream flavored gum is what I chew when I'm like, dang it, I got to watch my weight. I got to lose some, or I can't eat ice cream because, I'm on the treadmill or something. Like, okay, next best thing. I want to get together and play at the table with the other D&D players. I want to see them squirm as they roll the dice and, I can't believe it. The guy flips the table. It's a great moment. On digital, it's like, it's just a video game.
I appreciate when there's digital versions of things. I'm a big fan of Board Game Arena. It's great. I can log on there and I can play games that I wouldn't normally get a chance to play. But it's nothing like sitting down with a group of friends and actually
it almost feels like
for real.
It almost feels like you're breaking the rules. Like you're doing something that shouldn't be possible.
It's automating this part for me. I don't even have to think about calculating that part. I'm playing. I play Heat on Board Game Arena. It's a racing game.
See, I almost got into all that, but then I saw HeroQuest wasn't there. I was just like, I'm not interested.
Yeah, well, exactly.
When I was a kid,
and you're like, I don't even have to calculate anything.
Yeah.
I don't have to think about, I'm going around this corner, so I only have this much heat, and I gotta.
Part of the game you don't like.
Fast. I don't even have to think about it. The game just does it for me, and I kind of hate that. At the same time of it being convenient that I can play it when I'm not with my friends, but yeah, there's a whole aspect of it that's just totally lost when it gets automated for you.
Well, yeah, it depends. So for me, like Cyberpunk, like, okay, I know the board game and the video game are not the same, but I look at Cyberpunk and I think this is complicated. There's so many tables. Like, I know that you can simplify it. You don't have to incorporate all that stuff into the game. But when I see a video game that like purports to automate that stuff for me and just let me like enjoy the shooting and the running around, that appeals to me. Maybe somebody else would want to do it differently. But I'm having flashbacks to when I was a kid and I would play like a bunch of Mario games. We didn't have a Nintendo, so it was like a rental. And then it went back. Or I'm at a friend's house or at an arcade or something. I'd come home and I'd get a piece of paper out and I would draw a level. And we would like cut out little pieces of paper. It's funny, this is like before Mario Maker. Cut out pieces of paper and it's like, okay, here's little Mario, and he's like, you're pretending to jump along and like dodge the stuff. It's like, okay, could I make it? Am I gonna hit the thing? And yeah, you're just doing it with your hands, so you could fudge it and say, oh, he could maybe get through that gap. I'll just turn him to the side. It's gonna be fine. But I'm like playing the game for free. So why do I need the video game? Because I'm using my imagination and a piece of paper. But
Yes.
that's what I feel like
Right.
when you're playing these board games, because yeah, I could sit down and play Baldur's Gate 3, or I could just take these dice out of my pocket and we could just like talk our way through it and have the
Yeah.
same thing, and
We
it's
could
just
just
all in our
play
mind.
it.
And say, oh man, these graphics are good, but they could be better. It's like, no, in my mind, it llooks awesome, in my imagination. And if I can describe it to my friend, maybe he can imagine it. Oh, I can't imagine it. You got to draw me a picture. Oh, okay. Fine. These miniatures. Well, we did it with HeroQuest. Like, okay, this is just a red blob of plastic. Well, what color's his hair? I don't know. Whatever you want it to be. What's he wearing? Whatever you want. You know.
I have
What's
gray
he?
eyes. What?
No, I specifically
No, I have
said
gray.
blue eyed, but I
Green
changed
eyes.
it. I changed it. Yeah, but you didn't tell anybody. You didn't write it down.
You didn't actually cast it.
Where he's casting all these spells. Yes. It always goes back to that. So yeah, so there's so much, but see, not everybody's used to that. Like, if all I ever did was play video games, like I'm not used to using my imagination in a game. Like I have to kind of like relearn it. So I think with HeroQuest, if you can get people to that stage where it's like, yeah, you're kind of guiding them back into that, let's say, for lack of a better term, childlike mindset, where it's like you can just use your imagination for anything, but you're still putting limits on it. You're still saying, well, I can't just like turn into a god. You know, there's still like rules. Like, okay, between here and here, I can have these powers, or I can take a chance
Yes.
for something good to happen or something bad to happen. Like, okay, makes sense. That's how wargaming got started. Like the first
Sure.
wargamers, like they had spring-loaded cannons. You know, H.G. Wells and his friends are like, okay, well, you can hit that guy, but you got to hit him. You actually got to hit him with the little spring-loaded cannon. And if you can hit him, the little wooden dowel knocks over the soldier. Well, guess what? You got him. You missed. You missed. I mean, it's objective. Or you roll
Got
the
him.
dice. Ha! Got him. Yeah, it's that. Whereas the little kids would be like, "Oh, I killed you. No, I killed you first. No, killed you at the same time. You know, I was infinity." You know, it's like, okay, you have to come
Yeah.
up with rules. I see a game like HeroScape. It's the same way. It's like, okay, clearly they were playing with blocks and GI Joes and dinosaurs, and they just went, oh, let's tie some dice rolls and stat counters to these things, and it'll be more fair, more objective. And then older people can play it and kid themselves that they're not just playing with toys. Right? It's good.
No, these aren't toys. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
these are models in a
No,
complex strategic simulation.
I'm mature. What do you want?
Yeah, I am Overlord Zarkon. Yeah. I'll never buy anything digital only. Well, I would just treat it as this is a video game. But if you're going to take a board game, I mean, unless there's some reason why I don't want the board game. Like, I think, like Rebellion, I think when I saw Rebellion, it's like, wow, this game is big and heavy and expensive, and I don't have the space. Oh, but the video game is so accessible. I'll do that instead.
Yeah, right.
Just like I could see somebody going like, okay, well, let's see, I could spend $135 and get HeroQuest, or I could go on Tabletop Simulator and spend $20 and see if I like it.
Right, and I've done that with several games where I'm like,
Try it out.
oh, actually, there are Steam versions of several games where I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I'll just get that. I'll Spirit Island. I'm just gonna get that on Steam. It's $10, $15. I'll just get it there.
Yeah.
Try it, see if I like it, and I can play with other players. And there's lots of people ready to go.
Yeah.
And so you've got really nice options there.
Yeah, and I think when I was a kid, it was like my parents wanted to get us off the screens. I mean, even before screens were everywhere. It was like, yeah, you've watched enough TV, you played enough video games, do something else. Oh, but a board game, and I felt like it was cheating. Like, haha, I fooled you. I'm still playing a game, but it's just made of plastic and cardboard. But yeah, you're engaging different parts of your brain, and you're not as restricted by the framework of the game. Because with a video game, it's like, okay, you've got to hack the code, or you got to have a game genie or something to break out of what you're in. But in the board game, all you got to do is go, hey, should we just say from now on this other thing happens? Sure. Okay, now
Yeah, we all agree.
We agree. Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, and that's the great part about board games. You can tweak those rules on the fly to whatever you need, or to whatever is great for the group, or whatever. And I'll give you a great example of this. My dwarf character in our HeroQuest games, she bought the plate mail against my advice, against Zargon's advice,
Never mind the
and
plate.
she bought the plate mail, and she's lagging behind in every single fight, in everything. Right? She's clinking down the hall behind everybody, and by the time she gets there, the fight's over because less movement.
Old Jack Burton.
Oh,
Yep.
so the compromise I made with her was like, okay, you can still roll 2 movement die as normal, but you can only choose 1 as your actual movement, which is not allowed in the rules or anything. It's not rules as written, but that's just something that's a little compromise we made. I was like, go ahead and just roll both and just choose the better. And that's something you can do when you're at a table versus in an app or in a video game or something like that, which is great in my opinion.
Yeah. So let me just cover. Good conversation. Yeah, I cover a few more things. Yeah, you mentioned Adam Driver said that. John Boyega was like, "Yeah, Disney is never going to screw me over again." Yeah, didn't he say something like, "You're not going to Disney Plus me"?
Yeah, you're not going to Disney Plus me again. Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, that guy. I mean, I found his character in the Star Wars movies to be wasted.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
he
And
could have
I
been
think
interesting.
he felt that way too.
Even as a comic relief, he like wasn't. It wasn't done well. It was just like
He was nothing.
this
He was
poor
like,
guy.
oh, you're
And
right. It's like they didn't know what they wanted to do with him. They're like,
no,
oh, you're a comic relief. You're the trusted sidekick friend, like a Samwise Gamgee to
yeah,
Rey. No, just kidding. You're not that. You're something else. They didn't know what they were doing
you're
with him.
scum.
It was
Rebel scum.
you're just
No,
nobody.
no, yeah, and then they made him small on the China poster. It's like, dude,
That was the worst.
what the hell?
It's like, oh my
Yeah,
god! After they're
I need a
posting
new
all
agent.
this, they were
Yeah.
posting all this like again we're going political, but they're posting all
Sorry,
this like pro Black Lives Matter stuff, and this is all in
we
the height of all that. Just kidding, we're gonna make you small because China doesn't like you.
we're the company who
Jeez.
cares, except who are paid not
Except
to care.
when it cuts into our money. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Terrible,
And
terrible treatment of that man.
it's like politicians. It's like they say something you want to hear, and you just believe them. It's like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't have believed them.
He as an actor and as a character deserved a lot better than what they did to
You
him.
got, yeah. So yeah, and I understand. Like I get kind of like angry at some of these actors, these celebrities, because they stick up for the stupid thing they're in. But then I got to remind myself, like, have you ever worked for a big corporation before? You don't get to like say what you really think. You've got to toe the company line if you want to get paid.
Yeah. You're a cog in the
Cog in the machine. Yeah.
machine.
So I don't
Yeah.
blame them, and you shouldn't just assume that they're brainwashed. It's just like they care about their job. So, and if they believe it, I
Sure.
mean that's kind of sad, but yeah. But yeah, it's like, okay, well, they give me a crappy part. I worked really hard on it, and it still sucked, and now everybody thinks I'm an idiot. Well, screw you. I still got paid. Like, I don't know. Yeah. So, but enough about that. Yeah, Disney took a bad line with Star Wars, and
They did.
I know
They
people
did. It was
focus
very
on,
disappointing.
oh, the Mandalorian was good, or oh, whatever. Andor was kind of good. And yeah, but even if you grant that, it's like a couple of nice shiny things in a big pile of manure.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I know you and Strange Bus talk a lot about this, but for me personally, after Last Jedi, I've never watched a single another Star Wars property again.
See, I keep coming back and going, well,
That was it for me.
I'll try it. No, it still sucks.
I was
even
so
worse.
irritated, and I loved
You're doing what I tell people to do. It's like, yeah,
Force Awakens. I loved it. I was like, this is
get it.
great.
I
I understand it's a reboot. I totally get it. It's retreading a lot of the same old story. I'm fine with that. We're getting the next generation in, and we gotta get the old actors out. Yeah, I was fine with that. And then when and Force Awakens did that just fine. When Last Jedi hit, I was like, "What the hell am I watching?" I was so
See, I
irritated.
was
I was
mad.
so annoyed.
I was.
I was frustrated by the end of the movie. I was like,
Yep.
"What in the hell?"
See,
And I
I
was just
wasn't even
like,
mad when I watched Episode 1, and that was like the first Star Wars movie that I was disappointed by. Like,
"Sure, me too." Yeah,
but I wasn't. I was
I
like,
skipped high
yeah.
school. I skipped high school to get tickets for that.
Wow.
To go see it. Yeah, we hung out in front of a theater.
It was an event.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was an event,
It was a
and in
cultural
fact,
moment.
one of my buddies, got interviewed by a local newspaper. It's like this is a once in a lifetime event and whatever, and he was like on the front page of the news, that week and whatever. It was a huge deal, and
Yeah.
so yeah, when the newer movies came out, and yeah,
See,
I saw Last Jedi, and I was so annoyed. I was like,
yeah. Well, so it's
I'm
interesting.
out.
It's interesting how you reacted because Force Awakens I was not impressed by, and I was not like I was already steeling myself. Like it's new management. They're gonna milk
Yeah,
it for what it's worth. I've seen this trailer. It looks kind of hokey, kind of derivative. Oh, sure enough, that's what it is. So that's kind of how I was. And I know everybody overreacted because they were like, the prequels were terrible. These aren't the prequels, so they're great, And then, yeah, Last Jedi was very divisive. Critics loved it. Fans hated it. A lot of people felt like they had to be loyal to Star Wars, and I sympathize with them, trying to defend it because I was used to be that way. Like people would talk bad about something, and I'd be like, "Well, it's kind of good, or it's part of a good brand, and most of it, it's
yeah,
like I would take it personally, like, oh, you're saying I'm wrong because George made a mistake. It's like, nah, he made a mistake, and Disney made a bigger mistake. They took his mistake and they made it into an even bigger mistake, and they didn't realize it. They didn't own up to it. They blamed the fans for it, and they made it even bigger again. And yeah, I did go back and watch more stuff, but yeah, I think it was shattered a long time ago for me. So
yeah. Fair
yeah,
enough.
but
Yeah,
I still
that's
had
fine.
yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, yeah. And like Joe was saying, Angus, he's like, I was
keep
okay with
saying
bringing in new characters, but not destroying the original.
yeah.
And I'm 100% on board
It's
with that. I was like,
it's
I
like
was 100% expecting the old characters to have to get pushed off to the side. You got Carrie Fisher, Harrison
mhm.
Ford, Mark Hamill. They're old. Like,
Well,
there's
it's
just
like
a
wrestling.
reality to
It's like
that.
wrestling. You gotta have the new guy come in, murder Hulk Hogan, kill Ric Flair,
Right.
throw Sting off a
You got
building.
Ultimate Warrior coming in.
Yeah,
He's got to defeat Hogan,
right,
and Hogan has to be cool with it,
right.
and hold up Ultimate Warrior's hand and be like, "Hey, I'm passing the torch."
Well, there's passing the
Um,
torch, and then there's like, oh, this guy was never good, and if you liked him, you sucked, and it was like,
yeah, right,
no,
right,
no. I
exactly.
mean, you move on to the next generation. Like, there's a good way to do it, and then there's a way that's like cheap and insulting.
Yes, yes. And this the way they did it was cheap. It was
They
horrible.
do
It
that in the
was
Jurassic Park movies as well, where it's like, oh, the
yes,
T-Rex, and
yes.
then a bigger dinosaur comes in and like kills the T-Rex.
Just kidding. The Indominus Rex, who's eight
Yeah.
times bigger and
Well, then
three
they got
times smarter than humans.
and now the T-Rex will team up with a couple other dinosaurs and kill the new super dinosaur.
Right.
Oh,
They
okay.
talk to each other using
Telepathy.
dinosaur speak or whatever. I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Jurassic Park
Come
is
on.
another franchise that is utterly ruined in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, I
I mean,
agree.
ooh, it's a Steve Jobs guy. Ooh, scary.
just,
What the
just
hell?
give me Michael Crichton's original vision. We're
Yeah.
good.
It wasn't perfect, but it was a nice monster movie.
It,
It had some cool
y-
dinosaurs in it. I like dinosaurs. Just give me that.
yes, yes.
You can have the scientist guys squabbling about philosophy in the background, but
Right,
meanwhile there's
right, right.
screams and there's running and
Give me nice monster movie, Star Wars,
yeah,
and we're good.
we're good.
But no, they're like, no, 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 no. Luke's actually pathetic. He's a loser.
He sucks. That's why you have to like other
Han
people instead.
Solo didn't know what to do with himself, so he just
Yeah.
became a smuggler again. By the way, he's wearing the same clothes.
Yeah.
And she's a general again.
Yep.
Kind of.
Reset everything. Yep.
Just I was like, what?
Dumb.
Come on. All right.
Yeah. Okay, we got a few
So
more things. We're getting off on Star Wars. So, Strange Bus, you weren't
yeah,
here, but we did it anyway. We did it for you, buddy.
yeah.
Okay. So you don't need to poo on the old characters to bring in new ones. Absolutely right. You summed it up. Ribby. So maybe Hasbro wants HeroQuest to be the next HeroScape by using multiple IPs and eventually mash them together in a giant multiverse war. I have mixed feelings about that because when I first heard about HeroScape, that I recall, it was just like, well, I've moved on. I'm not playing these board games anymore. But what it struck me as, it was the type of game where you're trying to build the perfect army. So just kind of like Magic the Gathering, you're like buying all these booster packs, trying to mix them together to form like the ultimate deck that's just going to destroy all opponents. And of course, you get too good, no one's ever going to play you again. But still, I like the fact that since HeroScape is a dead game, as far as, well, until Hasbro starts selling it again, but there's a vibrant community, it's very easy to just take stuff and say this is an army. So I go to the dollar store and I get Kung Fu Panda, and it's like, I look up, custom groups or whatever, and it's like Shaolin monks. Okay, got my Shaolin monks. Here we go. And I spent $5 on this army for HeroScape. Now with HeroQuest, you can do that. You could get some Reaper miniatures. You can get some D&D miniatures, WizKids, toys that you've already got. You could use army men. You could use paper, anything. But as we talked about before, the HeroQuest stuff is just to kind of spark your imagination. So it doesn't have to be that you have to buy everything. Because eventually it does get to the point where the universe is so big you can't possibly consume it all. Unless you're Bill Gates. And you wouldn't want to, because not all of it's made for you. Like some of it's targeted at other demographics, markets that you won't want. Like, okay, so now there's so many Star Wars novels, you can't possibly read them all. But some of them are targeted at like toddlers. And some of them are like romance novels. So it's like, okay, well, I'll just pick out the ones that I like and that'll be it. So HeroQuest could be like that. It could get so big where, yeah, you just kind of take a sampling. Do we lose sound?
No.
No? Okay. So just music only. Space Mary
Yeah,
Poppins was utter bullshit. Yeah, she was. Little garbage, hot, smelly, wet, rotting. Got it back. Okay, so we might have to edit that. Sorry. Bad connection. Oh, or maybe just Wordicon. Yeah, sorry, man. Yeah, so Luke in the sequels. My nephew might be turned evil, so I must kill him. Yes, because we'll take the evilest person in the world, but because he's my dad, I'll try to change him, and I'll risk my life to save him. It's like, what happened to the Luke that we used to know? I mean, you're just changing stuff just to change it. Like, oh, the bad guy, he's now the good guy. Good guy, he's now the bad guy. If you don't like it, you're dumb. All right, I think we might have lost Carl Casey there. There was another video that I wanted to look at here.
Oh?
Yeah. So we got Cristobal here, and that expression on his face, right there, that is the perfect thumbnail, I gotta say. And look how everybody's just like freaking out, like the bug eyes. Like this guy knows how to do a thumbnail, so. La GUARIDA de MORCAR. Let's watch it with subtitles.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Hola, ¿qué pum? Bienvenidos a un nuevo vídeo, y hoy no es que sea un vídeo muy especial, la verdad, es un vídeo bastante triste en general por todas las cosas que están ocurriendo, que realmente es un poquito...
Just want to say, of course, that we appreciate all he does. Go check him out on YouTube. Rate, comment, subscribe. He's a cool guy. I don't speak Spanish, but look, we got an auto translator going. He's going to say some stuff. Just want to let it sink in, and we do have him at high speed.
Jodido. En este vídeo no va a haber cortes, o si hay algún corte va a ser por alguna cosa muy especial. O sea, estoy malo, pensarlo, estoy malo.
Maybe I should kill
nada,
the sound
es eso.
just
Y
to
vamos a ello,
avoid...
porque-
Sorry, we're not trying to cut in on you here. He's talking about the layoffs. Announced the cutback and dismissal of 100 more people from his team, in addition to the 800 who had already started the process. In January, it must also be said that all those people, there were many who have been on early retirement, things like that, could have been arrived. Okay, I'm going to just skip ahead a little bit. No offense, but we know that part. Okay, let's get the Okay. Complaints. Invested $200 million in the business, increased participation in many categories, but the market headwinds that we anticipated have proven to be stronger, more persistent than planned. Although we trust in the future of Hasbro, the current environment demands that we do more. Even if these decisions are some of the most difficult that we have to make. Well, let's see. I'm also talking for the sake of talking. That's okay, buddy. We do it too. So I encourage you to check out his video. It's it's almost 42 minutes. We're not going to read the whole thing. But Cristobal, I know, is very passionate about HeroQuest. He seems to be the type of person who gets some of these leaks. We don't know his sources. But I have a sense that he was probably close to the people that got let go. And so there's a little bit of that for him. And I can sympathize with that. I mean, here's a guy who runs games. He's popular in the Spanish-speaking community. He collaborates with other people. I'd love to be on his show. You might need an interpreter if he can't understand me and I can't understand him. But, yeah, definitely check it out. So he's had some good commentary on the whole situation. And Amalgamash has as well. And I think I've said it before. Amalgamash he's very diplomatic. He's very positive. But it's interesting to hear him sometimes because he'll rant on things that I am okay with. He does have a button that was pushed at one point. So everybody's got their passions. Sir Death usually takes his time, but he'll come out with a video. Always bored, never boring. Does his thing. I like the different perspectives though, because we've got people in different countries. Spain, the UK. Coming at it from different angles. But I think a lot of us had a lot of emotion about these layoffs and changes. And the fact that it does kind of throw everything up in the air. And it makes you think, these little guys at Avalon Hill were doing their best. And you just came in and just ripped the rug out from under them. And what are we supposed to think about that, We're supposed to be loyal to you after that. And yeah, if we all decided to just boycott HeroQuest, which we're not going to do, but if we did, then they would blame it on Avalon Hill and say, oh, you guys didn't meet your quotas or whatever, so bye.
You didn't get your 25% growth. Sorry.
Yep. Didn't grow as much as the last quarter. As far as we know, though, as far as we think we know, all the stuff they've announced is still going to come out. Against the Ogre Horde is probably done. It's probably ready to ship. So that'll still come out. The dice are still going to come out. The Monk has been coming out. They moved the release date up to January 2nd. And I actually gave away the one that I have as a gift. And so I ordered another one for myself, which I'm kind of like, why do I need it? I've got Brother Stone here from Reaper Miniatures that I painted, and I got the cards I printed out. But I still want to support the effort. I sort of feel like we can still send a message to Hasbro if they release a bunch of crappy HeroQuest stuff. If we just keep buying the old stuff and don't buy the new stuff. But I feel like, I don't know, it's kind of one of those self-fulfilling prophecy things. If they have a predetermined idea of what they think is right and they're going to point the finger and pass the buck and blame somebody else for their own mistakes, they'll just do that. And I don't know how they convince, shareholders that that's right. But I don't know. I just feel like they're shooting themselves in the foot. Because it's like, you didn't have me for Magic the Gathering. You didn't have me for D&D. I'm not members of those communities, so I'm not burned out. See, there we go. See? Look at him. He's getting passionate about it, and I don't blame him.
Wow.
When I get some more time, I need to go through this whole thing. I'm sorry, Cristobal. You deserve a fair hearing, but we're so far into the video that in the evening I can't go back. But yeah, check him out, hear him out. We've got him for the Spanish stuff, we've got Dungeon Master for the German stuff, and there's many other people out there. I just need to find out who they are, where they are, what they're doing. HeroQuest is global, and they need to listen. to all their fans, not just some of them, not just the people on social media. But yeah, they have.
They though.
Well, they're screwing up in lots of different areas. I mean, we think about the toys. Yeah, all these unsold toys that nobody wants. Like,
Right.
somebody at Hasbro made the decision, we need to invest in this particular Disney movie. Like, maybe it was a package deal. Like, okay, we're Disney, you need to promote, Shang-Chi now. Like, okay, now you need to promote, Wakanda Forever. Now you need to promote the Marvels. It's like, okay, we'll do our best, and it sucks, and nobody wants it. Like, when I was at Ollie's, there were just stacks and stacks of Shang-Chi, Wakanda Forever. Just saying. And parents were, like, going by and going, like, my kids don't want this. They want Spider-Man. Where's Spider-Man? Like, it was like, I didn't say anything. I was just like, there you go. Somebody at Hasbro needs to hear this. Yeah, Chris Nato at LinkedIn, he had a really great article, really heartfelt, and I'm sure he spent a lot of time on it. Went back and edited it. He talked about his childhood, playing with toys, wanting to be, a game designer and all this stuff, wanting to be in the industry, and then like finally he got to be there, his dream come true, and all this stuff. And he put in his years, and then it's over. And he didn't come out like bitter about it. He wasn't attacking people personally. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. I'm going to sue. I'm going to do this. No, just sad, and basically just putting it out there. It's like, hey, if somebody loses their job, that's a big deal. Just be there for them if you can, because it's a big deal. I mean, it's your livelihood, but plus if it's something you really love doing, it really is a punch to the gut. Even if you can collect money afterwards, it's still like, yeah, this really sucks that they felt like they didn't need me, they didn't want me. So we could dwell on that. It is the RAANTCast, but that's pretty much that. There was something. Oh yes, this other thing. Yeah. So AshQuest covered this as well. The Mythic set did come back briefly. Like, where did this come from? This was not advertised at all. It was just all of a sudden they were selling Mythic sets again, like this year. Like, was it this month? I was on vacation when it happened.
It was this month. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sold out right away, and it's just like, what? So it's like, okay,
within a day.
These were copies that were just hanging around, I guess. And I'm thinking, like, okay, so scalpers were probably the primary people that did this. But there could have been a few people that really wanted the Mythic tier, I hope, and got it for a reasonable price. It looks like Joe Manganiello's stuff wasn't in there because it's not mentioned. Or maybe it was.
I would be. It wasn't mentioned in the website. I would be really hard pressed to believe that they created a whole new package.
They opened up the package and took it out and just put packing peanuts in there.
Like somebody mentioned. I think it was either Seek or somebody.
Okay.
It was very unlikely that the crypt stuff was not in there, but we don't know.
I want to see this part. Okay, so response by email, Rachel. Hi, Cristobal. Yeah. Thank you for contacting us. We appreciate your interest in our product line. Regrettably, the part you have requested is not available separately. We would be glad to assist you with any further inquiries you may have concerning replacement parts of our products. Thanks for your understanding. What? I've heard story after story from Hasbro, well, from people that interacted with Hasbro, where, yeah, some of their stuff is broken, and they're like, oh, sorry, here, your skeleton was missing a head. Here's 6 more skeletons. Like, enjoy. It's like, that's great. That's above and beyond customer service. But when they send you something like this, it's like, that's not. I mean, it's like, what?
Sorry.
They answered me, yes. Right now the mic is coming out. Hope the dragon doesn't appear. So the dragon's come out. He's died. Touch your balls. So look, he is not holding back. Like, I gotta see the greater context. But it's like, they spring this on you. You have no chance to do it. And if you just wanted to buy part of it, you can. It doesn't matter. I wanted to get.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. Why advertise Mythic tier
Like, listen, we're
if
short.
it's not the Mythic tier?
We need every bit of money that we can get, and we've got a couple of boxes unsold just sitting around. Quick, sell them out. Get it going. Yeah.
Just kidding. It's not the real Mythic tier. It's kind of though.
Listen, like, we need
Some
to
of
get.
it's there.
I wish we could get.
What?
I wish we could get him on the Rantcast. I mean, I know he's way more popular than we are, but the way
Yeah.
he's worked up at this point, like, the translation can't even keep up with what he's saying. Like, that's how riled up he is. So this whole like, we have a question for you. It's like, dude, think of the level of respect and excitement that we had for Hasbro HeroQuest up until this point, and then all of a sudden, all these weird curveballs are coming towards us. Like, they're doing stupid stuff. They don't know what they're doing.
Yep.
It's disconcerting. And yes, you could say, well, we're influencers. We overreact to things. But if we're like this, think of the average person is just going to go, HeroQuest. I don't know about that. Like, I'm not going to waste my time. They seem kind of flaky. Like, why do I want to buy this game that's about to die? Because that's how a lot of people think. It's like, oh no, I want to get the popular thing that everybody's into, or I want to get the thing that I know has a long legacy, that's in good hands, that's going to be fine. Whereas I'm more the
Yep.
opposite. Like, I see a game, it's like, oh, it's dead? Yes. That means it's cheap. Or that means I can just do whatever I want. I don't have to worry about all this corporate overhead, telling me what to do. I don't have to worry that they're going to ruin it because the show's already over. They're not going to make more seasons and ruin the characters. It's already complete. So now I can just sit back and relax. But yeah, if you were expecting, I mean, they said we're going to do, till 2026. And they said 2027, 2028. So, I mean, on the one hand, it's like, okay, if a couple more people got the Mythic tier, that's nice. But I think we've moved beyond the Mythic tier. I mean, we're to the point where we should be releasing, like, improved versions of that stuff. Get it to everybody. I was talking with Hispazargon about the reach of HeroQuest, how he was telling me, and I checked to see, and he's right, is that we have all the HeroQuest stuff in German, English, Spanish, Italian, and French, or about to come out in those languages, in those territories. Except for the Rogue, for some reason, is not translated. And the Guardian Knight isn't translated, but it's like, okay, I get it because it was a limited release. And you already have the Guardian Knight inside Rise of the Dreadmoon, so that one's going to be fine. Like, people will get it. But it's like, yeah, otherwise you're just excluding tons of people. And it seems like such a simple thing to translate the stuff. I know all the things in Carmine said are true. You got to establish distribution in different countries and everything. You got to abide by their laws. If it's Quebec, they're going to put you through the ringer. And you got to gauge how much interest is there really, because you got to ship everything. But just translating the digital files shouldn't be that hard. I mean, think about the online quests. Like, the online free quests are not translated. But the workaround for that is you play them in the companion app, and they're translated. But then it's like, okay, so if you want to play as Zargon, you still got to translate it yourself. So again, you're putting more barriers to what's supposed to be a simple game. And I'm not saying that to be like some, I don't know, faux like United Nations thing. It's like, HeroQuest was not just a US game. It wasn't just a UK game. It was a global game. You had big communities in all these countries, Germany, Spain, France, Japan, So there's already a legacy there. And when it feels like you're screwing over certain territories, those people don't like it, those fans. And I don't blame them. I'm just thinking, like, if I was one of those countries, I'd be like, what's going on? Like, why do I have to pay through the nose to get it, shipped from my buddy in the States? Or whatever. Yeah, so a lot of things to be angry about, for sure. Let's go back to AshQuest. So he did his play test. The rest of the stuff he's talking about, it's like homebrew stuff. And I think that's the right thing to be thinking about, because we got to get ready. I mean, for all we know, after this year, HeroQuest is not going to be what it was. So we're going to have to be back in the mindset of, we got to create this stuff. And I think if they emphasize the fact that HeroQuest is the game that you can make it, that's going to be the life of it. Then people won't be like, well, I got to have the next expansion to get my fix. It's like, no, just do it yourself. Because it's not that hard. You can write a decent quest in an hour. Like, I'd never really done it in like 20 years, and I sat down and wrote a quest in an hour. You played quests, you know how to make quests. It's not that tough. But until you do it, you don't think about it. How challenging is it really going to be? Well, I think we're getting to the end. What do you think, Ribby? Are there any other HeroQuest topics we really need to talk about now, or is he still going?
He is still going. No, we've hit on quite a bit here.
The Christmas cards, yeah. They did those Christmas cards. Oh, this guy here. So somebody made a Labyrinth HeroQuest adventure. There's a Labyrinth board game. But then somebody was selling the Labyrinth HeroQuest thing, and it's like, I don't think you can do that. Like, if I make a Star Wars HeroQuest, can I just sell it? No. I mean, I can maybe get away with it, but it's just like, it seems a little underhanded. Like, just give it away for free, because it's a parody, it's a satire, it's a derivative, it's a derivative work. So just do it, but don't sell it, because you can't profit from it. It's not your IP. I mean, they had to change the name of HeroQuest to Sunday Quest. It's like you can't pretend it's the official product. It's brand confusion or whatever. It's they own the rights to it. I mean, I think they've been very charitable with fan mods up to this point. So when people kind of like bend that too much, I think they're like abusing that goodwill. Because really, they could take everybody down. I mean, certainly Hasbro's gotten a lot of bad press with how they treated Magic the Gathering fans and D&D fans, and trying to take away the ability to, make mods and maybe even make a living off mods. So I don't think they'll try it again with HeroQuest. HeroQuest is too much of an established, pattern of make it yourself. But when people do stuff like this, I mean, it kind of pushes them in the other direction. Like, oh, we need to clamp down on these guys. They're gonna... And it's just a few people doing it. Most people that make mods, they don't steal other people's stuff. Like, did he create all that artwork? I don't think so. But this could be your thing. I mean, you could have an officially licensed Labyrinth HeroQuest. Some people would buy it. Again, probably more collectors. 5,000 people. Yeah, he's got 5,005 subscribers. And those are just his subscribers. There's got to be even more people that watch. So it's not a trivial amount. I mean, think of if every one of those people bought HeroQuest. That's a decent chunk of money right there. So you can't just blow it off. Ribby, are you still awake?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, I think it's time to wrap up. I think you sent me a couple of messages here, but let me just stop.
Unrelated, semi-related.
Okay, let me just take a quick look. Oh, Shredder's Revenge, yeah. Oh, and the Tarask.
Yeah,
Possible murder monster.
Yeah. Read up on that when you get a chance. Really cool monster.
Fighting a monster the size of a building. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess if you asked me 1 year ago, I would say HeroQuest is on the right track. If you asked me I don't know, when did we hear about this? Like 4 months ago, I would say HeroQuest has made it, has arrived. Now I'd say, I don't know. I feel like Encarmine and Avalon Bill still lurk the socials, but under new names. Yes, Joe Kosher, I feel as if you are correct. I certainly have that feeling. I share that feeling. Yeah, very bad timing on that tweet. They should wait until after Against the Ogre Horde official presentation. Shareholders only care if they're making money. Couldn't give two craps about the employees that make them said money. Could be. Bohemia says, even if they're doing their best and so did better than the other games, they got punished because they pleased only the fans, not the general public. I don't know. I feel like with what Avalon Hill was doing, they had to win over the fans first. And they're still kind of in the process of doing that. But the general public doesn't know what HeroQuest is, so you have to spread the word. Because you've got us all convinced that you know HeroQuest, you respect HeroQuest, you get it, you're giving us HeroQuest. But you've got to get beyond that. And they were just getting there because HeroQuest was appearing in regular stores. The price was going down. I mean, Hasbro Pulse, it's still quite expensive, but $98, getting there. You can see clearly it's a big box. You turn it over, there's tons of figures, way more than Talisman or these other games. So yeah. Yeah, these guys are still lurking, and I'm sure they can't say anything about it. Like, they can't just spill the beans and say, okay, this is the exact reason why we were let go. This is the exact plan that they have for HeroQuest. This is what you should, they're, even if they know that stuff, they're not allowed to talk about it. So fine. But eventually I am curious, to hear kind of their side of it, if we ever do. Because for all we know, at some point they'll be back at the company and they'll talk as if nothing bad ever happened. Because that's just the way it is. Yeah. So as far as the hardcore fans are concerned, HeroQuest is fine. Nothing has gone wrong for us because we're just as much invested in HeroQuest as we always were. It's just that, am I likely to go out and tell people, oh, you should buy this game because it's so good? I might not, because I might not like what they're doing with it now. I might just keep it to myself and just play with other people that are like-minded fans that I know are not going to get upset because the next release didn't meet their expectations. They already know what they like. They already have the pieces that they can rearrange into whatever arrangement they want. But those are the people that are already in. So on the one hand, we're kind of hard to please, but we're like the test case. So I think it's not as if they gave them a chance and they failed. I mean, we're talking as if HeroQuest is already dead, but it's not. But the question is, how long will it last? If they stop creating new content, will they keep selling the old content? Or will they just kind of let it fade away? I'd be okay if they just kept selling the old stuff if our only other option is to make really crappy content. So I'd rather they just leave well enough alone. But when we see the track record of these companies, it feels like they're just going to just milk it until they can't milk it anymore, and then they'll just dump it like so much trash. And that would be really too bad.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. Sorry, just getting a message there. Yeah, we'll just have to see. I mean, we can yell about it, but we don't really know what's happening. It's just that we have all these, I don't know, warning signs, red flags. So for now, I would just say if you're on the fence about it, if you want to see what HeroQuest is about, maybe now would be a good time. I mean, you could wait until the prices are slashed to nothing and then get it, but it's a good game. You can just buy the game system. You don't have to buy anything else. Could be a vintage system for $180, and then you could spend $140 or $100 and get the new system. Make up your own quests to your heart's content till doomsday. I mean, you don't have to have anything else. The other expansions are fun, but it's just ways to spark your imagination, really. I mean, rules as written only gets you so far, is kind of my thought on that. So, but even if you just want to do that, I mean, 14 quests could last you a month if you're playing a lot of HeroQuest, and that is a lot of HeroQuest. You know, it could be a summer, it could be a winter, it could be a now and then game, but it's so easy to get into. It's so easy to mod. It's cooperative. You can make it competitive if you want. You can make it more complicated if you want. I was just reading Advanced HeroQuest. Advanced HeroQuest rules are out there, and you can use them in regular HeroQuest, just like Warhammer Quest does. You can make it into an RPG. You can use it. You can use it in D&D. You can go the opposite direction. You can take some other game and apply the HeroQuest rules to that game to simplify it and make it more fun for people who don't want to spend a lot of time learning the game. So it's a great system. It's a great tool. It's a great sandbox. It's a great. It's just great as a game. And I think, in Carmine's words to us, we're just keep that torch going, keep spreading the good word about HeroQuest, and you can weather the storm. I added that last part about weathering the storm, but that's the way I think of it. I think of it as
That was good.
Yeah.
Good.
We were out there for 30 years, keeping the game going, having fun, and it coming back was just a nice bonus. It was like, oh great, now I can have like a nicer set to play with, or I can get, you know, a gift for somebody I know. I can introduce it to some more people and not worry about, oh, don't break my, you know, ancient miniatures that are just barely held together with glue. But if it goes away again, it's like, well, we'll just keep doing what we do. But just like HeroScape, I mean, they flopped, but then they gave it another chance. So maybe HeroQuest might go through a dark spell, might go through a dry period. Weather it. Maybe there'll be a new CEO. Maybe there'll be a new design team. Maybe they'll decide, it's time we dust that one off and bring it back. Try it again. So they could release a new and improved game system. I mean, maybe there's 14 different quests. Maybe there's 4 different heroes. Or maybe it's just a facelift, just all new art, same game. Wouldn't have to be a brand.
Where's Golden Girl Quest?
Yeah.
Promise me.
But it doesn't have to be Golden Girl Quest, even though, you know, if you want it, then that's what you deserve. But I mean, like, okay, the way the barbarian's drawn, why does he have to be drawn like that? He could be drawn like as anything. So you could get another artist in here. Let's see their take on it.
What though? Like what?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Timothée Chalamet. Like, come on. No.
hey, Timothée Chalamet is the barbarian, the wizard,
the
female elf, and the dwarf.
All in one. Incredible.
Yep.
Very versatile actor.
And he's Zargon. Yeah. He's the new Eddie Murphy.
He's on the screen. The screen.
Yep.
No beard though. He can't grow a beard.
Well, it's just like a glued on beard. Yeah. It's a CGI beard. Yeah. See, back in the day, it would have been Adam Sandler as all the characters, but
Totally would have been.
It's Adam Sandler.
It's a Zargon. What do you want?
Yeah. It's a little orky. Yep. See, it can be done. I mean, we're giving you these ideas for free.
Right. You don't have to send me free
Nope.
games. I'll
Nope.
take them, but you don't
Nope.
have to.
I mean, Netflix kicks them to the curb, and then Hasbro snaps them right up again. It's got to be that way. All right. Well, my screen is turning red, and I am running out of energy. So I'm gonna say see you next time on the RAANTCAST. Yeah. RAANTCAST. So I think the plan right now is tomorrow. We're going to try to do our normal stream. So Mage of the Mirror, 2 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, I may be getting together with some family for some delayed Christmas stuff this weekend. So I don't think Saturday is going to happen. Unless weather or illness prevents me from traveling, in which case, hey, we could do a stream. I mean, unless I'm really sick or something. Yeah, some people got sick this past weekend. It's like, okay, well,
I got a lot of friends that got COVID this last week.
it sucks. I mean, I hope it's not
Yeah.
as severe. I think that's the thing.
It's not. It's
okay,
not.
good. Yeah, but at the same time, you're like, oh man, do I gotta isolate for 10 days? What is this going on? You know, or
Right.
I'm gonna be not feel like doing anything for a couple days. So yeah, everybody stay safe out there, but we'll play it by ear, but I think it's very possible we will have at least one stream this weekend. I'll try to give everybody a heads up, but I mean, it's already tomorrow. So, I mean, I think we'll pick up with Mage of the Mirror, but we don't have to play for 4 hours. It could be a shorter stream. We'll just see. We'll play it by ear. I said that already. Yeah, but the following week, so again, it depends. Like, if I don't get together with them this weekend, it's going to be next weekend. So it's either, yeah, we stream this weekend and not that one, or vice versa. But I'll let you guys know on Discord, and I'll let you guys know on YouTube as soon as I know something. All right. Okay. Any closing thoughts? Remarkable.
No.
I got him, folks. I talked him under the table. Just kidding. Yeah, Shredder's Revenge. Yeah, for me, the first 2 arcade games are all I need. One HeroQuest to rule them all.
Well, I'm just saying, if you want a modern game to play with your buddies, that's the one to do.
That has a little bit of a retro vibe to it.
Absolutely, yeah.
My biggest peeve are the morons wearing masks and shit. Well, we're not getting to get political. I have a lot of people in my family that have medical backgrounds, and I feel like it's like what you think is common sense isn't necessarily what somebody else thinks. Like they don't really maybe understand it, but it's like how do you make somebody understand without coming across as like the biggest jerk in the world? So I don't know. But yeah. Anyway, I guess be as safe as you can out there, and we'll catch you next time on the RAANTCAST. Anybody we can raid? Seems like there never is. Good night, fellas. Good night, Wordicon. Let's see here. Yeah, it seems like this time of night it's always Trump or Biden. At least those AIs can entertain us a little bit as the world burns.
They're really funny.
Yeah, it's always like just nonsense, and it's like you in the chat, like you're the worst
You in
person.
the chat, Ribby, you're the stupidest. That comment you made was the worst I've ever heard.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
Your mom's basement, you know. Yeah, it's like, and then somebody will say like just a bunch of syllables, so they're like, like what? Just insanity. But maybe we need a little bit of insanity. So, all right, we're gonna end the stream. Do the raid. You don't have to stick around if you don't want to, but leave you with something amusing.